What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the House of Flux. It's me, Flux. And look, I've got Jeff with me tonight.
Mocha Dick Poon! XO,
Mocha Dick
XO.
Poon, XO, XO.
How
I
we
have
doing?
decided with every shit show trial that we do, it's just going to keep getting longer and longer.
It's too early for those jokes. I was going to say that's what she said, but that was just too easy.
That's what she said. Welcome everybody. Oh, we already got a good audience starting off. I normally don't have this many people right when we start off, but it's fun. But Swan Lake Lady, what's up? Glitter Fart,
Hey.
good to have you here. Good to have everybody here. It's me, Flux, here with Legal Vices tonight. We are doing our awesome Unexplained. Kind of winging it,
Totally winging it.
This is vacation Flux. I am on vacation as of a few hours ago.
For how long?
For a week.
We got to have you. We got to have you on the Anderson trial stream.
And that's I'm hoping for at least one day, because I will be flying to California on Monday and then spending a few days with family and then flying home on Friday. But I'm like, oh, I gotta stop in for a little bit, because
you just tell me what day and you're on.
Holy cow.
Hayden was texting me all night long last night, telling me how awesome it was.
I don't understand
the fact that I was blocking like 12 people in my sleep. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, oh my God. That was hilarious. I don't understand why you went to sleep though. You had the day off. You could have just stayed up forever and just
I was liquored up and tired AF. I haven't slept all week. This lack of sleep has been so bad. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. My fitness tracker sent this message to my phone, like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Kind of sleep. They're like disturbing sleep patterns. Like when your health tracker alerts you that you are having a serious issue because of no sleep, you know you're having problems.
Yeah, that might be an issue there.
Oh my gosh.
But,
no, last night I was so dead.
It's like every time, as soon as you leave, it's like, holy shit, what's happening?
Yeah, that's the guaranteed best way to make sure something exciting happens in a trial. I leave or Joe Good Logic comes.
Oh, hey up, Steph. What's up? Steph's in the house, guys. Everyone say hey to Steph. What's up, Steph? That's my girl. It's so funny.
You watched Shazam. Steph paid money to go watch Shazam 2 or whatever it is. How was it, Steph? Was it the best money you've ever spent in your life?
I never did end up seeing the first one.
I didn't either. Couldn't bear it. I can't even conceive of paying money to see the second one, but I'm curious to see if she thought it was the best movie ever.
Oh, I'm sure it was probably awesome. But no, I always watch Steph's videos when I get home. Like I have the trial on in my earpiece, but when I get home, I love to just like unwind with Steph, right?
Yeah.
And it's so
unwinding with Steph. Steph is such a calming influence on people. Just unwind with Steph, you know.
Right? Like it's just her soothing nature. Like I get home from work and I'm just like, yes, girl. She brings me such vibes. And it's so funny because Mrs. Flux has this, I call it a tick, where if she hears something that like she really likes, if it just like tingles her ears, she has to like repeat it a few times. And it's just, oh my God, every time Steph says like, hey up everybody, she just goes off like, hey up. And I'm like, oh my God, can you like just wait to do your tick thing until after I'm done watching? It's hilarious.
Well, I must confess that Steph the Alter Nerd has had an influence on my life as well. I have released a few cow bags into the wild at people.
Oh yeah.
And I may or may not have used the term ear holes at least twice.
I love the term ear holes. That is like one of my favorite terms, and it just sounds better when she says it.
Yeah, so she's had an influence on my life, for the better or worse. I'm not sure, but she had an influence. So
Everybody, if you're not subbed to Steph, the Ultra Nerd, I don't know what you're doing. Go
you're
sub to Steph. And also sub to Legal Vices because
oh, yeah. Why
he's
not?
awesome. Have you hit you already hit 30, you're almost to 36?
Almost 35,780 something.
Did you see Hayden kick 12K?
No, I didn't. That's good.
Yeah, he like, right as he cut off, he was like he came back and he was like, "Oh, 12:02, thanks, guys." And it was like, "Oh, hell yeah, what a good end to the Friday." You know, it was a shit show of a trial, even more so. We're going on vacation. Hell yeah. Oh, what's up, Cool Frog in the house?
Whew. All
Your
right.
your dog's going crazy?
They were just making noises. They're saying what exact noises they were making. All right, we're talking about the unexplained or something.
We are. You know, one of the things I wanted to talk about. See, I'm hesitant to play the video, but I really want to, but it's a BuzzFeed video. Are they gonna yell at me?
One way to find out.
I'm down because have you ever heard of the Isdal woman?
The Isdal woman.
Mhm.
Well, clearly that question lets you know I have no idea.
So, this is a lady who that's that's all that's known. They call her the Isdal lady. Um I would do an intro, but I'm not gonna do as good of an intro as these guys. Oh, let me
Okay.
present the screen. Oh, wrong one. This one, then that one, then this one. All right, the Isdal woman. She was
Okay.
basically a lady that was discovered to be dead.
I hate when
Uh,
that happens.
right? She had a suitcase with her, but all of the clothes in the suitcase, no labels. All the labels were gone. Anything that could identify this lady, gone. Uh, she was burned, like, they think I can't remember if she quite burned to death, but it was the fact that she was burned and died from poisoning and, like, all of these things, and they're like,
Wow.
"Eh, we don't know.
You're like
Maybe."
sick burn, man.
Yeah. Oh, wait, where did it go? I hate Waking Up Dead.
Yeah.
But
Better Off Dead is a great movie.
oh, that is. But in looking into this, there are so many cases of, like, a lot of people
Hmm.
think this woman was a spy, where
Huh.
these spies turn up dead and there's, like, no identification, no markers, just, like, mysterious little clues that point to, "Oh, this person was in Germany, but she was also in, you know,
Wow.
America, but she was also in, you know, Italy at one point, but then she was also in all these different places." And
Huh.
but like they never figure out who these people are. And it's uh it's odd to me that in today's day and age we still can't go back and find answers.
Wow. Okay.
Right? All right. Let me know how the volume is, chat. I don't want to kill you guys.
This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we cover the case of the Eastall woman, one of the most
Eastall.
mysterious cold cases of all time. And I know I say that a lot, but
Oh,
not only are the
I like
cold
these guys.
suspicious,
I
Except
love
that
these
the
guys.
identity of the woman itself,
sometimes
They're
they're a little too
funny.
mocking, but they're funny.
Mystery on a
Yeah,
mystery.
it's a layered
sometimes.
mystery.
I like a layered mystery.
It's like a two-layer dip that you have at a Super Bowl party. And you're
Oh,
like,
and suddenly at
oh,
the bottom, where these beans come from?
oh, what about that cheese? Put a little salsa on top, three-layer dip. There may be a third layer here. I'm not going to disclose everything.
I'm getting hungry for mystery.
Sometimes there's too much banter.
Yeah.
I'm like, just get on. There we go.
1970, in the Eastdalen Valley near Bergen, Norway, a family on a Sunday hike discovered the body.
There's at least a 12-episode BBC series on this.
The first people
12 episodes?
And like I was just looking, it says episode 12, and episode 12 is an hour and 16 minutes long. So
Oh,
it could be like
see,
12 or 15 hours of this. This could be fun.
right? And that's well, I picked this video because I'm like, I don't know
Yeah, because
what
it's
we're
not
gonna
12
talk
hours.
about. So it's just 27 minutes. But I could totally dive in because this is weird, Jeff. It's weird.
On the scene,
Uh.
and the last one living, police lawyer Carl Halvor Oss remembers the first thing they noticed was the very strong scent
Like an
of
ass backwards.
flesh. The
Right.
body was severely burned, and the arms were in a boxer position in
Ooh,
the
it looks
air.
like an aha video.
In burned body.
Take
The
on
front of the
me,
body, including her face,
take me
burned beyond
up.
recognition. The backside was bizarrely not burned. The
Wow.
officers were unable to tell how long she had been there or when she died. The woman
Huh.
was believed to be about 5 feet and 4.5 inches tall, aged between 25 and 30 years old.
So the front of her is burned, but the back is not.
Yes, and she's found on a hiking trail by a family.
A family who knows what burnt flesh smells like.
Well, that was the description from the police lawyer.
Oh, okay.
It would smell like barbecue, probably.
Probably.
Mmm, barbecue.
I mean, barbecue's not gross.
No, you get what I'm getting at.
Oh, that
Yeah.
we're so we are but animals.
Yeah, well, that's true. We are meat.
Items recovered from the body and scene included jewelry, a broken umbrella, bottles, a watch, remnants of nylon stockings, and rubber boots. However, oddly, the jewelry and watch were not found on the body, but rather beside it, as if they had been placed there. All of the identifying labels on her clothes had been removed.
That's
Even
odd.
the bottles found with the body had their labels rubbed off. With no clues to her identity, the police began looking for a witness who might be able to identify her. She is referred to as the Eastall woman.
Okay.
Okay.
Stink.
So, right off the bat, what is that like? Right off the bat, at first I was like, oh, that's just a dude trying to cover up the fact that he like killed his girlfriend. You know, take off all the identifying
Mhm.
things and try and like
Yeah.
burn.
Someone's
Like,
trying really hard to hide it,
Mhm.
make sure there's
But-
nothing there.
But it's like it gets so much weirder. It doesn't just stop at the burn thing.
Hmm.
Stinks, man. Anytime anyone's got the labels removed on their things, it's very fishy, very fishy.
I mean, one thing you can infer is it does seem like there was another person that may be involved. It doesn't strike me as an accident, nor does it strike me as something that was self-inflicted. But
why do they do that with the clothes? What if I'm a body somewhere? I don't have ID on me, maybe, but they find my pants and go, Levi's, huh? This must be Shane Madej.
well, I mean, if it's fancy clothes, they could then go to fancy department stores.
Well, we know
Yeah.
if it's Levi's, it's definitely not Zach Anderson because he never wore
Never.
Levi's.
Never.
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 He just didn't wear Levi's. Sorry, just. Mm-hmm.
Ask if you've seen this person, then go to the next step of identifying them.
Were
But
they fancy?
I don't know. I mean, that's just where my mind goes. But then again, I do have a superior detective mind.
I don't know
So,
about that.
I mean, I get why you couldn't make that conclusion.
It just seems like an unnecessary precaution.
Or very thorough.
An autopsy of the body discovered a large amount of phenema, a sleeping pill, in her stomach. Around
Like a female enema?
50 pills. Her bloodstream had not fully absorbed them before her death.
50 to
They also found
70.
smoke particles in her lungs, which
Okay,
denotes
could be a drug
she was
mule.
still alive while she burned. Petrol was
That's
also
right.
found at the scene near her body, and it was
Yeah.
evident that it was utilized in the burning. There was also a high
Ah.
level of carbon monoxide in her system. A strange bruise on the right side of her neck was also discovered. After
Vampires.
the autopsy,
Mhm.
the death was determined to be a probable suicide due to the sleeping pills and the carbon monoxide from the fire.
50 to 70 pills
It's a lot.
is a lot.
Okay, first of all, 50 to 70 pills is a lot, yes. But the can of fuel was found away. So I don't understand. Like, why would you take sleeping pills and then light yourself on fire?
You really wanted to go. But to me, that's one of my biggest, weirdest fears is being
No.
burned
Mhm.
alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. I'm right there with you because I'm like, it would be terrible, but one of my friends suggested it's only bad for the first like few seconds because then the fire burns away all your nerves. So then you can't feel
Yeah, but
anything.
it's always burning away new nerves, and there's a lot of nerves
Yeah,
on your
I'm like,
body.
I just Okay, Jeff. Weird, morbid. Would you rather? Would you rather burn to death or would you rather drown?
I'll drown.
Really?
Just a couple moments of panic, and then you're gone. Not
That's
the
fair.
moments of panic plus the worst pain you can possibly imagine in your entire life as you go screaming and smell your own flesh burning.
That's fair.
Which
That
I had a
is fair.
laser mole removal on my head, and smelling your
Ugh.
own burning flesh is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which is why I can't do LASIK or anything like that, because people talk about. I mean, first of all, my weirdest phobia. I have like weird phobias about my body, my eyes.
I am there with you.
If you lose one of your fingers, you still got 9 more. You lose one of your eyes, you're 50% blind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you don't
I
get to
don't
go
like
back.
those odds.
And I don't like. I can't watch the scenes in movies. There's always scenes in horror movies where there's like a knife or a needle coming by someone's
Yes.
eye. I can't watch that.
And
And hearing
it
people
freaks
talk
me
about
out.
LASIK, they talk about smelling their eyes burning from the lasers. No, can't do that.
Nope. And the fact that you have to have your eyes open and you're awake.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen.
Like, nope, that's not for me. That is not for
And
me.
another weird one, I can't have my arms or legs hanging over the side of the bed. Like, I mean, like this I can, but not like backwards, because I know someone's gonna come into my room and jump on my arm or leg and snap it.
Ooh. That is now a new fear. Oh
Yeah.
God.
I mean, if it's just like dangling over, yeah, but if it's like
Like
backwards
straight
like this,
out
yeah, I
and
can't do.
someone
I can't
comes
do
and
that because I know someone's gonna do that, even though I'm totally alone in my own house.
I was gonna say, don't you like not live with anybody, but cool.
Yeah, still it's
Cool.
a phobia. Yeah.
I feel that.
Lady Autumn Sky, I lost a finger after birth and still have 10. Okay.
That
Learn
is
something new
awesome.
every day.
That is awesome.
May have thought this may be a suicide, but they weren't fully absorbed by the time of burning.
Seems odd to burn yourself. If you're
That's what I'm
taking 70 sleeping pills,
why
yeah, why
then
are you
go
burning yourself?
Let's set myself on fire now.
Yeah. If I'm gonna die, and you say, well, you can go to sleep. And say, that sounds like a good option. Or alternatively, we could set you on fire.
Yeah, we could do the thing that's generally considered the worst way to die.
Yeah. I
Yep.
think I'd go with falling asleep.
Yeah, me too. I think that would be a 99% consensus. Just remember these odd details.
I've committed them to memory.
Good, good. Lock them in. Throw the key out. Okay, you could swallow it too.
Oh.
Eric Foams had a piece of bone stuck in my eye. Ooh.
Jesus Christ. So stupid.
What?
Good bit.
In fact, the spot where she was found was the
Ooh.
scene of many suicides in the Middle Ages, and also where some unfortunate hikers fell to their death in the 1960s, thus earning the title Death Valley from locals.
Hey, wait, we got one of those where I live.
Difficult to
Yeah.
climb, and definitely not a hiking path.
Wait, you said this was not a hiking trail? What's his family doing out there?
Yeah, I considered that first.
All right, kids, let's go for a little hike in Death Valley.
I guess maybe they want to challenge themselves, you know? Sometimes I go off the beaten path when it comes to hiking.
Do you?
I'd like to challenge myself mentally and physically.
You're gonna
That
die.
is
Not something I would take
cool.
my young family with.
You have a young family?
Or
That's
if I
like
had a
being
family,
a
I would not take them
superhero.
and be like, hey, let's go bouldering.
Yeah.
Powers.
People do that in Los Angeles, though. They had to close one of the mountains around here because people kept falling off.
LA people are weird.
Yes, they are.
Considering the curious state of the crime scene, it's understandable to be skeptical of the ruling that it was a suicide. But before we dig into that, let's first provide some context by attempting to answer one question. Who was this woman? The first major clue came 3 days after the body
My
was
grandma had that
discovered, and
luggage.
2 suitcases were found at the train station in
That is
Bergen.
awesome.
Inside
Wow.
the suitcases,
Yeah, that's exactly it. Those weird little clasps. And okay, sorry, just had a flashback there.
No, those suitcases they're really cool because they're so vintage and stuff.
Well, they weren't
I like-
vintage when she had them.
Yep, yeah, that's fair.
glasses with a fingerprint on the lens. The fingerprint was a match to the Eastall woman, effectively linking the suitcases and all their contents to her, which is important since the suitcases contained several mysterious items.
I hate people that pronounce
Oh.
important.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So
Never
she's
seen this-
got some stuff in some suitcases.
What goes
Uh-huh,
beyond
that's weird.
suitcases? Wait till we crack these bad boys open. The plot will thicken, as they say.
I like that.
You do appreciate a thick
I
plot.
love it.
Okay.
Inside the suitcases were clothes, wigs, a comb, hairbrush, makeup, money from Germany and Norway, as well as coins from Belgium, Switzerland, and the UK. A tube of eczema cream was also found in the suitcase, but the prescription label that would indicate the patient and prescribing doctor had been removed. The labels
Wow.
of the makeup had also been removed, and the efforts to
Really quick, to be fair, has anyone heard from Statuesque Misk? It's been a good 2.5 months, and her group of friends have been looking for her. Have you seen Statuesque Misk? I haven't seen
I have not.
her. Guys, internet people, find Statuesque Misk and have her report here to make sure she's accounted for and all good. Sometimes people just take a break. Maybe, she's just
Yeah,
taking a
I've
break.
had
or
people
on
go away for
vacation.
2-3 months and then suddenly they show back up. But,
Yeah.
I hope
Some
everything's
people
okay.
like Irish wristwatch. No, Irish I was drunk. That guy. He goes away
Mhm.
for a while and comes back every so often. But we'll keep an eye out for
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
identify the brands failed. Beyond these items, there was one item that seemed particularly promising, if not strange, to the police. A notepad with a code written in blue ink. A code that could not be cracked by the police at first. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Heating up. I like codes.
Well, obviously, one thing to glean from that is the fact that the labels were also removed here in her personal belongings. That to me means the labels, her clothes, all that stuff that was found in the scene was maybe done by her, not by a separate party.
Yeah.
Which then gets you into the question of who she is.
Right.
The second major clue also came from the suitcase and was a plastic bag from a shoe store about 130 miles away in Stavanger, Norway. Roar Rortvedt, the store owner's son, described blue celebrity boots he sold to a woman about 3 weeks prior. The boots matched the ones found at the scene.
What do they call them? Celebrity boots.
Because they were popular at the time, celebrities were wearing these boots. Therefore, he described them as celebrities.
I really love that he asked the question that I was thinking.
Oh, he was just sort of a dumb guy who saw something fancy.
Oh no, these were just very popular boots.
Look at you with your celebrity boots.
Rortvedt gave a well-detailed account of her appearance. In summary, she was well-dressed, medium height, with a round face with dark brown eyes, long dark hair, and had a strange odor to her that Rortvedt would realize years later was garlic.
Why does it take him years to remember?
A strange
I was
odor.
thinking she's up in Scandinavia. It's probably pickled herring or something.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, what's this strange odor? They were like garlic. I was like,
Yeah, that's a kind of a delicious
Ooh.
odor.
yeah,
Like I jump up.
I love garlic.
Yeah,
It's delicious.
yeah.
because it
Sounds
always
like a good barbecue. Like got some grilled garlic and
Oh,
you
right?
smell it on someone who's
Mm.
just eaten garlic. It's a bit funkier. So she just went to Chowtown on some beef
Yeah.
sticks,
And then decided, let me go pick up some boots.
breadsticks, boots, burning myself alive.
Rortvedt's description led police to Saintsvithen Hotel in Stavanger, where the Eastall woman stayed under the name Vanilla Lorch. However, when police checked hotels back in Bergen, no hotel had admitted a woman named Vanilla Lorch. Which brings us to our third major clue.
Really quick, do you think they did that for privacy reasons or because it was like,
no,
no,
they
we
didn't
just
have
didn't have
privacy
anybody.
back in the 60s. That wasn't a thing.
That's fair. That's
The
fair.
coded writing on the notepad. It turns out Vanilla Lorch was not the woman's real name, and in
What?
fact,
You
good.
don't
used
say.
names that she used at hotels around Norway. This meant the woman had multiple passports with differing names.
Okay,
love, like,
spy. I'm thinking spy now. Spy now
exactly,
or
right?
drug dealer.
I'm thinking spy, especially during the 60s, like Cold War era, or 60s and 70s,
Mhm.
because I think this was 1970, they said. Could be like Cold War stuff.
Using handwriting analysis
I
on the
really like
hotel
their
check-in
B-roll
forms
too.
and
It's funny.
cross-referencing it with the code found in the suitcase. The numbers and letters in the code correspond to the woman's stay in all the different cities. For example, 030BN5 relates to her stay in Bergen from October 30th to November 5th.
But
Mm,
do you think that's her way of
okay.
coding it so someone who reads it doesn't see it, or is it just her own shorthand for? Because
If that was all that was found in the suitcase, that was odd. I would maybe think, okay, it's just shorthand.
Mhm.
But the fact that the suitcase also included wigs, she had multiple passports, she used 8 different names.
I'm just curious. Most
Spy.
people only have one passport, if that.
Yeah, I don't think that contributes to shorthand. All those.
I have one passport, and I'm always looking for that darn
could be.
thing.
After examining all the registrations, the police realized she mostly claimed to be from Belgium when she registered, all of which were confirmed to be fake Belgian identities. They also gained insight of the woman's habits by speaking with various hotel staff. For instance, she often asked to change rooms, and she utilized some German and Flemish as well as English. Additionally, they also described her as well-dressed.
So maybe she's just a spy.
You just said that like you
Okay.
I mean, like that's what
No,
we've been going.
I mean, obviously,
That's where I am.
back
Thinking
burner,
spy
but
right
I'm
now.
just moving that pot to the front now.
Yeah, now move that to the front, stir it around a bit.
Crank it up, watch it boil.
Yeah. The
Throw
fourth.
some crawfish in there. Start licking those lips.
He's creepy. I love him.
But
The fourth major clue was the Eastall woman's teeth and tissue samples. For this clue, let's skip forward to modern times, when new scientific developments were applied to the investigation. A professor of dentistry named Giselle Bang
Well, that's a cool name. Giselle. Giselle Bang.
Giselle.
Yeah,
that's
Bang.
It's really funny because every once in a while they comment on the names. I'm like, oh, like how we comment on the
Yeah.
names, but we do it in not an appropriate way.
like a good spy name.
I was gonna say you could say you've been banged, but that has different
It's different,
connotations.
different.
Yep.
Professor Bang examined the Eastall woman's teeth, covered in fillings and gold crowns, and determined the unusual dentistry may have occurred in southern or central Europe, perhaps even Asia. However, before the location could be locked down, Professor Bang unfortunately passed away in 2011, and the teeth,
Professor Bang.
hilariously, were rumored to have been thrown
Hilariously?
away because they smelled.
Ah, smelly teeth.
That's an unsolved classic right there. Let's take the evidence, let's throw it away because I don't like it. Yeah.
That's great. I
Uh,
love it.
Yet, this toothy tale doesn't end here.
All right.
The
I have
Eastall woman's
teeth.
missing teeth
Mm.
were later found at Hoagland Hospital in a remote warehouse. Also in that hospital were tissue samples that included the Eastall woman's heart, lungs, spleen, and liver, among others.
They found the teeth
Yeah, they found everything in a remote warehouse in a hospital.
next to the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, next to the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. Christ.
What the hell kind of warehouse is this?
I don't know. Yeah.
I've always
The
wondered
Eastall
about
woman's
those
teeth
old,
were
like,
subjected to an
warehouses and shit.
isotope test, which determines where the woman grew up based incredibly on the water she drank.
Whoa.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Using
kinda
this
cool.
test, scientists were able to pinpoint an area near the France and Germany border where the Eastall woman lived.
Hey, Danny.
Everybody, we got
Everybody.
Danny on.
I heard the boop and I was wondering who it was. It's Danny.
Hi. How are you?
What's up, girl?
Not much, just coming to watch. I'm watching now.
Have you
Been so
uh,
long.
have you heard any of this case at all? The Isdall woman?
Oh no.
Bring
A
her up to
mysterious-
speed.
Yeah, a mysterious spy lady, we think.
Likely grew
Ooh.
up.
Well,
DNA
give her the background. What have we seen so
So-
far?
So far, basically, this woman is found off of a hiking trail in a place called Death Valley in Norway in 1970. She is found to be dead, like laying on the ground, but the front
Ground.
of her, the front of
Sorry.
her is
It's
burned.
Pavlov's dog. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm the same way with Mocha Dick. Yep. The front of her is all burned and has been burned with an accelerant, while the back of her remains unburned. The can
She
of
has
the
70 sleeping pills in her stomach.
50 to 70 sleeping pills in her stomach, which haven't all been digested yet. She has her like rings and stuff removed and put on the rock next to her.
Well, that was considerate.
Right?
All the labels and tags on every item of clothing she had were removed.
Were torn
This
off.
sounds
every
like a Black
label-
Ops, like
That's what
done
we're
in
thinking.
Multiple.
freaking-
They found a suitcase abandoned at a train station that was, when the contents were examined, were found to be hers because on the glasses the fingerprints matched her. But all the clothes and all the labels were taken off all of the clothes in the suitcase as well as having a bunch of different like fake passports, wigs, and a notepad with code on it that determined to be uh like places that she had stayed in certain dates.
This sounds spooky.
It,
If you know what I mean.
It does. Yeah, no, it does. And like I said, I mean, even like her hand cream and her eczema cream, like all the labels were rubbed off.
Everything that she had, the labels were gone.
And like there was a couple of bottles next to her. Even all the labels were torn off, were rubbed off the bottles. It's weird. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No,
I'm thinking
no.
spy.
Not weird. It sounds like tradecraft gone wrong. That's exactly
It's
what it sounds
1960s
like.
Norway, though.
Even more. Even
Well,
more. Remember,
it's
that's the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
right?
well,
That's the
it was
Red Scare.
1970.
Oh, 70, not 60.
Yeah. And
Close
she
enough.
was like,
I mean, if it's Norwegian, let's see, when did the Soviet bloc fall officially?
I thought that was the
90s.
Yeah, I was gonna say late 80s or 90s.
91 was, I think, when the Berlin Wall.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not a history expert, but I would imagine that the Norwegians and the Swedish and basically everyone in that area was probably on high alert.
I don't know. Let's
Mhm.
go ask Vince Foster. He can tell us. Oh, wait, never mind.
Okay, well, thank you. Oh, important question. Was she dead?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, she was
She could have
deceased.
been alive.
But
yeah.
but smoke was found in her lungs, which
So
meant
she was alive.
alive at the
Fired.
time of
Gene
burning.
toasted. Hopefully she was asleep.
Yeah, heavily asleep, hopefully.
Hopefully.
East Style woman
Oh.
is of Europe.
Yeah, and
Oh,
this is in the middle of nowhere, off of a. It's nowhere on a hiking trail, but it's weirdly a place where apparently people in the Middle Ages committed suicide a lot.
Which is why it's called Death Valley, which is interesting.
Okay, when you said Death Valley, I thought you meant California. So I would
Yeah.
thank you for the clarification. I
Nope,
was like, maybe I
in
misheard.
Norway.
Okay, that makes more
That's
sense.
what I said. Is we got one of those too.
And they were able to determine her like date or her possible, I think, origin of birth by her dental records, which is what he's telling us now.
Yeah, and they threw away her teeth, her false teeth,
yeah.
apparently because they smelled bad.
But they were found in a warehouse. Oh, they were found in the warehouse a few years later with her liver and her heart and stuff.
I was gonna say I don't imagine a medical examiner being like, "Oh, gross." It
Oh,
smells.
the
Let's go
medical
ahead and throw the
examiner.
teeth away.
The medical examiner, his name was Professor Bang.
Shut up.
Yep.
Yeah, Professor
Yep.
Bang.
Professor
Okay.
Bang.
I'm sure it was
Anything
pronounced
else
Bong, but
that's bizarre and weird besides keeping of her liver and heart?
well, like I said, they threw away the teeth, and the teeth mysteriously showed up, and they threw them away because they smelled bad, and then they mysteriously show up in a warehouse somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of odd. They
Yeah.
were unthrown away at some point.
Which,
Do you think
so
someone
because
tried
they
to
were,
eat her?
huh?
Do you think she could be like, okay, I don't know
They said
anything else about this
they
case.
said her body, her toasted body smelled heavily of garlic. So
I'm
Maybe.
just gonna say, do you
Maybe.
guys remember this case in Germany where there was these two guys who met online
Oh
and they
yes.
had arranged to be eaten, or one of them had arranged to
Oh
be eaten?
yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to eat his junk.
Right. And then the issue came down to, well, if it's fully consensual, is it a crime?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
She
saying,
did
I
have a
don't see a
bruise
lot
on
of
her
that happening in
neck.
the US, but I do see it happening a lot in like friggin' Northern Europe. So there you go. I'm just saying. I'm just
In,
saying.
Mhm.
in Germany, everything's fair game, I guess. But
That's
She
true.
I'm
was
gonna
in
be
Germany.
back in just a second. I thought I had my hydrating water of life here, but apparently I have it, but I didn't bring a glass or a cup, so I'll be right back.
Okie dokie. But yeah, and a family found her while hiking on this trail,
That's disturbing.
right? And it was like a remote trail, and everyone's question was, well, why is this family going hiking on this remote trail? But you know, in Death Valley.
I mean, yeah, it's a little weird, but like I also live out west where everybody hikes by themselves, which I also think is very weird and unsafe.
Yeah,
So,
I've watched too many missing 411 videos to ever go hiking anywhere anymore.
bruh, like I carry everywhere I go and
Mhm.
I still won't hike by myself. It's just
Oh,
not smart.
no, because you literally like the forest is alive and like the Wendigoon is gonna take you.
I'm not scared of wendigos. I'm not scared of mountain lions. I'm scared of random strangers in the mountains, in the woods,
Yeah,
lying in wait for some stupid blonde chick to come up the trail all by her lonesome with a gun that she can barely access because it's like jammed into her leggings. Not saying that I do that, but I'm just saying that could happen. And it happens
mhm.
here often. And it's surprising how many women go running on trails here. They don't carry, they don't pack, they don't do anything.
I get surprised every time I hear about like that late there was that teacher who was just kidnapped not too long ago and killed. I don't remember where that was, but she was jogging at like 4 a.m. in the morning. A guy grabbed her and that was it. And
You
I'm
know what I
like,
am gonna do? I'm gonna
hmm,
create a collage of like if I'm kidnapped photos to publish to the media because they always publish the most unattractive photos of these
uh-huh.
people. And I'm like, no one's gonna know who I am. Like
Well,
if
and
the
that's
media
why
has their way, I'm gonna be a ugly schmuck and everybody's gonna be like, why would she get kidnapped?
That's why
oh,
women should not wear so damn much makeup because they're gonna show your picture and everybody's gonna be like, I've never seen that one in my life.
yeah, that too.
Yeah, I like my makeup. Sorry, Jeff. That's not creepy.
I'm used to like makeup and then it was too much and yeah.
Then he just went full lesbian. So
That's true. Well,
Y-
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, I feel like you have to be extra special in that market because the market is so small. Like, the dating pool is not as large as, like, a straight woman.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel
Yeah.
like that's gotta be rough.
Oh,
Flux
no,
is just
back
she's just an old married woman now. She doesn't
yeah,
care
I'm
about the
old and
dating
married
pool.
now. Back then, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I did my makeup, I had my hair dyed
I was gonna
platinum
say,
blonde, I was a basic bitch."
hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, but then,
Cheers to the
I'm
basic
married now.
bitches. Cheers.
Oh,
Gee,
yeah.
everybody, I'm sorry I turned this into a makeup conversation. It's all my fault.
It is. Thanks, Jeff.
I hate myself. Do you ever do
What's
this? I go in, I grab my cup, and then I realize I don't have the tea strainer. So I have to go back to the kitchen, and then I'm halfway back and I realize, oh yeah, I should probably bring my tea too. So then I have to go back in the kitchen and grab my tea and then come in here. It took me like 3 trips to get 1 cup.
Jeff, I
ugh.
sent you the ADHD simulator.
Oh, great.
I Okay,
Let's,
I'll shut up.
the Isda or, we got her teeth. We'll see where she's
Yeah.
from.
European descent, possibly from North America, though her poor English would suggest otherwise.
By the way, I just want to point out her poor English, any accent in general. If she's in fact a spy, that all goes out the window to me.
Hotel room, me.
There you go. You're
Sorry, it just sounds like
Europe-
I hear that a lot.
the fact that
Just not be a
the
tourist. That's
isotope
all.
test may have
Yeah.
pinpointed
be
her
right back.
as
Yeah.
America.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
She could have very well been American.
Well, funny test if it says either Germany or America. Sort of.
Yeah, that's kind of a considerable amount of distance.
Oh, what's up,
Yeah.
Steve?
I mean, I'm
How
still
you
very
doing?
impressed by the
Hey,
test.
Steve-O.
Watch the results.
Well, she's either from Europe or America.
That's, she's not from China.
It's like half the planet.
A woman's
Right?
features and background starting to materialize out of the darkness. New police sketches were drawn of her in 2016.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's not generic at all.
She looks like someone from the Americans.
good. Yeah.
In May 2017, a black notice is sent out through Interpol with the Eastall woman's DNA attached in hopes to find new leads. And with that, we arrive at the end of the clues. Yet, the question persists. Who was this woman? As some of you might have already wondered, many suspect she was a spy. Let's see if that claim has any weight. Obviously, the case file is
Oh, I
quite
love the B-roll.
peculiar, but external factors such as the ongoing Cold War also catalyzed speculation that the Eastall woman was in fact a spy, perhaps connected. Norway was revealed to be home to Russian spies and Mossad agents from Israel a mere 3 years after the Eastall woman's death. In fact, 4 Mossad agents were questioned about the Eastall woman. However, none of the agents claimed to recognize her or any of the Eastall woman's aliases.
But also, remember, they're spies.
What are they going to do?
Why
Oh,
would-
yeah. Killed her. That lady I killed? Yeah, I remember her.
You want to know
Yeah.
all the confidential details of my spying?
That's
Why
fair.
didn't you ask me in
Yeah.
the beginning?
That's the thing about spies, and I think a lot of intelligence deaths like
Mhm.
this. I would bet that a vast majority of these deaths
Yeah.
are just unreported. I mean, they're professionals,
Yeah, I mean, they're made to not exist.
right?
So
They're ghosts.
you're trying to catch ghosts, which
Yeah.
is we know
It's
it's
a
pretty
hard
it's
thing
pretty
to
it's
do.
pretty hard.
Around the time of the murder, Norwegian intelligence agencies looked into the case of the Eastall woman due to the odd circumstances surrounding it. A week after the discovery, Ornolf Tofte and Bjorn Langbake of the Police Security Service were
Balake.
investigating the case. Ornolf Tofte says he was called by the Bergen chief of police to investigate whether there was anything connecting the strange case to spying. While their team ultimately decided the death was an accident, Tofte remarks that it doesn't mean the woman was not involved in espionage. He claims her false passports point to the possibility of her being a, quote, illegal agent, end quote. Here's the Bergen Police Crime Commissioner
Like there's such thing as a legal agent.
a few weeks into the investigation after being asked about the role of espionage in the case. Quote, "We have no proof of that. No, we can safely say. I'd go further to say we've completely eliminated that possibility." End quote. However,
She
the
wasn't a
Norwegian
spy, guys, we
surveillance
promise.
agency denied involvement until 2002.
No offense
Oh.
to this commissioner, but I feel like spies' methods or the way they cover their tracks or the way
Yeah.
their organization may cover their tracks, it's probably going to be a little more thorough to the point where some rinky-dink police officer isn't going to be able to.
Above his pay grade,
Yeah,
perhaps.
he's-
Then again, they did have Norwegian intelligence agencies look into the case. So he didn't do the case investigation himself. He reached out to them to have them do it.
But
That's what I'm gonna
what is the
start calling all
Norwegian
cops.
surveillance agency going to say? Yeah, we cooked a lady.
Newt Havik, a crime reporter covering the case, says he was given case files to write an article about the Eastall woman in the 1970s. In the files, he found an envelope containing a cassette tape. However, the envelope was marked with a warning that said it should not be opened without express permission from the supervisor. As such, the
Okay. Oh
envelope,
yeah, I'd open that bitch up in a second.
and I can
Right?
find no record of
Are
what
you
was on
kidding me,
that
bro?
Seriously?
Well, why did
Well,
they open
they don't know what
That's one of
freedom
my
is. So.
questions.
it? I'm going to listen to some ink.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
listen
exactly.
how sticky when it comes to
Yeah.
that far in the case.
No, come on, crack that thing open.
Exactly.
Got your Walkman.
It better be
Right?
padlocked because a yellow sticky ain't stopping the old Bergmeister.
I'm tearing right into it. He's doing an investigative article,
Yeah, he's an investigative crime reporter.
Right?
and he just stops at a.
They don't
doesn't
have the
that do?
First Amendment.
Oh, what
There's
do
zero
they- for a
protection
real-
to him.
thrilling
And
movie.
also, he was born and raised to
Oh, we heard
obey.
about this thing at Watergate, but they told us not to look into it. So
Sometimes you got to play by the rules, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, but how is this any different than current day journalism?
See, and that's why I'm like, dang, why couldn't the dude like who in their right mind would just be like, "Oh no,
I
I don't
I would
have,"
be like,
right? Like, "Oh no, I don't have permission. Let me just put it back." Seriously? You got
clearly
like
those people have never ever been a teenager.
seriously.
Or they were all LDS, like just really good little Mormon boys and girls. They're like, you know what? God's watching. I know no one else is. But
I was
God's
gonna
watching.
say they are
Yeah.
Norwegians, so they might just be super nice.
I do
Norwegians? Is
I
that like
do
the
love
Norwegian region? The
Yeah.
Norwegians?
Norwegians.
Norwegian.
It's the Norwegian. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good night, Steve.
Good night,
Oh, Steve,
we
you're
love
leaving us.
you.
That was short and sweet.
Pop in,
It's
pop
late
out.
here. It's like 9:15 here. I'm in vacation mode. I'm staying up late.
Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting
Ooh.
lit.
Oh, and it's funny because I am flying to California. I'll be in Salt Lake for like 45 minutes.
Cool.
I'm
Will you
like,
send me your love while you're here?
yes, I'm gonna like yell at like out of the airport, like, I love you.
I will feel it. I will totally feel it. Tell me what time and I'll like I'll hold a space for you.
It's definitely, and I'll just
Yeah.
yell out and then be like, I got you.
Do you play Pokemon Go?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Okay, press play.
Finally, as further proof that the Eastall woman may have been a spy, her habits and situation were also suspect. Just to recap, she had multiple passports and used fake names. She had wigs, wrote in code, and all identifying labels and marks on her belongings were scratched off, either by her or by somebody else. She also seemed to have quite a bit of money to dress so well, travel to each country/city, and then afford all the hotels that she stayed in. Other than that, there's nothing concrete. It appears the Eastall woman is as elusive after death as she was when she was living. All this considered,
That
we
or
now
she was
return
just
to
a
the original
player.
question.
Hmm.
How did she die? Let's get into the theories. The first theory is that it was a suicide, as originally determined. Returning to the autopsy, 50 to 70 sleeping pills were found in her stomach. Officials see this as a sign of suicide, as it would be hard to force someone to consume that many pills in
That is
multiple
true.
doses. Though,
And
due
not
to
have
the
'em throw
odd
up?
details surrounding the case,
No, you
many,
just put a
including
little feeding
officers
tube in
involved,
there.
doubt that suicide is the true answer.
Right?
can make some
Tranquilize them and then put
You
a bunch of
at them and you say, swallow these
That's
pills.
fair.
Then,
If you know someone's either going to shoot you in the head or you could, again,
Or they say
fall
take these
asleep.
pills or
Okay,
we're setting
sure,
you
Yeah.
on
but
fire.
logically, let's go through that.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna
or
have you
both.
swallow.
We're
Yeah.
gonna set you on fire, but you have the
I'm
option
gonna
to take
set
all
you
these
on
pills
fire?
before we do so.
Sure.
That's
Oh, that
fair.
would be
Yeah.
that'd be even worse.
Yeah, it's a
That's the
little.
Also,
psychological
if-
torture.
let's
That's
go
why
through
I'm
it as
saying,
if it
man.
was a suicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
She goes, I'm gonna
Mm.
swallow a shitload of pills.
A lot of pills.
Now I'm gonna set myself on fire. That doesn't make any sense either.
Doesn't make a ton of sense. Unless the pills were a
Or
backup,
she was
like she thought,
supplied
oh, maybe if
pills.
I set myself on fire, it's not going to work.
They said they were just like a generic sleeping pill. I assume like just any sleeping pill you could get from a store.
I wonder if another Mossad agent like came by the Black House and was like, "Hey, girl, I got you," and like hands her just like this generic bottle of sleeping pills,
Yeah.
and is like, "Sorry, we ran out of cyanide.
You
can
just have to take
these, though.
70 pills
Good luck."
and wait.
That would suck so bad.
I'm just saying. Maybe just
We ran out of
somebody
cyanide
didn't
pills,
get the
but here.
memo. You know, there was a day of training that was missed. I'm just saying.
Someone breaks in the apartment. She's like, oh, wait.
Why am I so sleepy?
Unless she's just not in her right mind, she takes the pills. She's sure they're going to work, but they haven't worked yet. She's concerned they're not going to work, so she goes for the fire.
I don't know. I just there's a
No.
when you consider the fact that the method of death doesn't really coincide with suicide, and that she had all these other external factors that maybe suggest she was involved in some weirder things. Doesn't seem to me like a way of committing suicide. Also, a spy suicide seems like wouldn't they have like a fucking
You'd think
cyanide
you'd be
pill?
better at that. Yeah, cyanide pill.
I'll tell you one
Yeah,
thing, you
if
don't need
someone
50.
went to
Do those
sleep
really
and
work as quick as they do in the movies?
I think so.
Because yikes,
What's
when
a
they
late-
bite down them in the movies, they're like, "Oh, are you going to kill me?"
Exactly.
And there's like foam right away. I don't know how that stuff works. Got to be
I
honest.
think they do
Abundantly
take
clear.
pretty
Yeah,
quick
we're not
effect.
going to do any kind of like trials. So I'm gonna
Not
ask-
till the series finale.
Yeah.
The second theory is that it was an accident. On the scene, officers suspected she may have been burned by flames, which she might have fallen into, and responded by jumping backward away from the flames and over the cliff. The
But how
police
did she
security team,
accidentally take
as
the
mentioned
pill?
before,
Right?
ultimately decided that the death was an accident. One questionnaire uncovered by this service revealed that she had a large can of hairspray, which in theory could have been dropped in a bonfire she had built. The result would be an explosion, causing her burns and ultimately her death. Though this doesn't
That to
Huh.
completely going over the freaking 50 to 70 pills in her stomach.
seem to explain the petrol found at the scene that was utilized in her burning. Furthermore, there would also be evidence of an explosion, I'd assume.
I'm already burning.
I'm already burning.
Let's get this fire
Yeah.
still
If she
going.
takes a petrol shower amongst rocks, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
The third and final theory is that she was murdered. Her possible life of espionage would undeniably lend itself
have
to a
thought?
veritable list of enemies. So, it's not
mean-
unthinkable that somebody would want her dead.
Real
Ret-
quick. The three theories. She killed herself,
Uh-huh.
somebody killed her, or it was an accident. What other way is there to die?
Well, true. Yeah.
Just saying.
Turning to the crime scene, the jewelry and watch were not found on the body, but beside it, as if it had been placed there. And sure, this could have been the last acts of a person committing suicide. But if her true plan was to commit suicide, why set herself on fire? Adding to this is nobody seemed to have an explanation of how the fire started, other than the wild hairspray theory. Returning to the autopsy, there was a strange bruise on the right side of her neck. The crime reporter mentioned before, Newt Havik, also wasn't convinced on the ruling. Quote, personally, I'm totally convinced that this was a murder. She had various identities. She operated with codes. She wore wigs. She traveled from town to town and switched hotels after a few days. This is what the police call conspiratory behavior. End quote.
Yeah, she had wigs, she had codes, she had passports.
She switched hotels. She
she's-
wanted people not to follow her.
She's
Yeah,
just an e-girl.
Yeah,
That's all.
Makes
You
sense.
idiots.
I know. I
Right?
felt like it was rather clear.
That's what I said. I'm like, what if she's just like a girl of the night that, like, you know,
Oh,
is just, you know, she doesn't want to stay in the same place too long, doesn't want anyone to get too clingy, and is just, you know, a lady of the night.
wait a second. That actually makes sense, especially if she had like a jealous John who decided to murder her. Like, immolation and fire deaths are very common for jealous, like psychopathic Johns. And
Exactly.
abusers.
And I hear that ladies of negotiable affections do wear, like, they'll wear different wigs, right?
yeah,
I saw that in that movie with Julia Roberts.
I mean,
That was
I
Pretty
never
Woman.
would be a woman
That
of
one.
negotiable affection because I don't negotiate, and my billable hour is like 350, 375 right now. So
Mhm.
I'm way above most other women of negotiable affection. I'm negotiating my intellect, but let's say that I would never wear, or I would always wear wigs. I mean,
Mm,
always,
interesting.
because
I'm
I
still
would
going
never
the
wanna be
spy route.
outed.
Still going the spy route.
Because like, when have you ever, like, the CIA said, is this your guy? And they go, oh yeah, he's our spy.
Exactly. They'll never say that.
So I'm
Hmm.
still going the spy route.
Yeah. I mean, the person, if they were murdering her, could why not just shoot him? I guess then maybe they trace the bullet to your gun. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're not exactly, I would say, the pinnacle of espionage.
I could be.
I don't think you could be.
Look, I'll wear fake mustaches. I'll wear a wig. People won't know it's me.
So you're gonna wear a mustache is gonna cover up your 8-foot limbs? Is that how it's gonna-
No, there's plenty of tall people in the world. If I wear a mustache and a wig and say, hello, I'm Banjo McClintock,
I
nobody
will
will
say a
know.
lot of the spooks I know are really tall.
Well, they'll think I'm a
Mhm.
different person.
I don't think so. I think I'd make a better spy.
I don't think you would.
Yeah, just from a physical requirement.
No. You'd be shaken.
No.
This is my real name, I promise.
Why would I be so scared at that
Because
point?
you're scared of everything.
I'm scared of the hotel check-in manager.
Yeah, sure you are.
I don't think so.
Unless it's that situation where, like, normally you're a timid, scared man, but when you step into the shoes of, say, Ricky Goldsworth,
Yeah.
then suddenly you become the most confident man in the
That's
world.
the point of a disguise.
But can you overcome the timidity that is
Yes. Yeah.
hardwired to your?
I think so. I think that's more likely than you shaving off a couple feet from your limbs.
Despite the official ruling being a suicide, many officials involved seemed shaky on that prospect, to say the least. Police lawyer Carl Halvor Oos claims that no one in the Bergen Police Department really believed that, claiming the location and nature of the death seemed too odd to be a suicide. A chemist for Kripos, the National Bureau of Crime Investigation in Norway, who attended the autopsy, said, quote, "Now as then, I'm in doubt when it comes to what really happened on the site and how the fire developed. It is difficult to be 100% sure. All in all, I support the 1970 report, but there is a considerable uncertainty, and it is impossible to rule out that this was either a homicide or an accident." End quote.
Hold on, press
The
pause.
police chief asked
How is that an accident?
This sounds just like all of those engineers who signed off on the FBI official report regarding 9/11 and the destruction of those buildings. Just saying.
Yep. This
Yeah, we've never seen steel like this melt like this in this particular way, and the fact that it happened to all 3 buildings is a little odd. But all in all, we agree with the report.
it's never happened before, and it's never been duplicated, but okay.
But okay.
But
Yeah.
okay. Hello.
suicide. Even though
Just saying
just
it's
days
weird.
earlier, he made it clear the case would remain unsolved until the woman's true identity was found.
Let me ask you two
Okay,
questions.
2 questions.
I
Was she
doubt
a
it.
spy? Yes or no?
I would say yes.
Yes.
Was she murdered? Was
Yes.
was it an accident or was it a suicide?
I
You
would
don't
say she-
accidentally take 80 pills and then set
No.
yourself on fire.
To me, I'd say murdered spy. What about you?
I think so too.
Okay.
Where
Maybe
that
she
takes
took
us
the
not
80
far.
pills
We
and
still
then
don't know her
accidentally
name.
caught
We
on
don't know who
fire.
murdered her.
I could see
but
that.
It's not just the nature of
Mhm.
spies.
It's a start. It's a
If
start.
she was a damn good spy, if we don't even know who killed her.
In the end, the Eastall woman was given a Catholic funeral on February 5th, 1971.
Oh, at least she got that.
Yes,
Yeah.
she may have been Catholic based on what information they had. Tulips and carnations sat atop her zinc coffin, a coffin that wouldn't decompose, in hopes that one day the coffin could be moved to a more fitting resting place if someone were to claim her. That day has yet to come. As for now, the mystery of the Eastall woman remains unsolved.
Dun, dun.
That's so sad. There's
Hmm.
probably a family out there who's trying to figure out what happened to, oh my gosh, Children of God. I just rewatched, just reviewed my John of God notes.
Mhm.
Holy smokes, the guy just got arrested. Maybe not just, but I just learned he was arrested down in
I
Brazil.
don't know this
for-
story.
Yeah, I don't know that story either.
We'll have to talk about it sometime. I study cults
Ooh.
for funsies, and this guy was like on Oprah. He was connected to the Clintons. He was like a
Oh.
world-renowned faith healer, and then he kept.
Oh, there's your
some-
problem right there.
Yeah, he kept some teens in abandoned mines down in Brazil and would impregnate them to give birth to his children that he would then sell on the market. And then he did that repeatedly for over 10 years. Once the women were 10 births, basically 10 birth cycles in, he would then murder them.
Wow, it sounds like there's an old case from California, the case of Juan Corona.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the case of Juan Corona was ridiculously weird, but like that, the guy would hire illegal Mexicans to work on his farm, and then when it came payday, he would just kill them and bury them.
Yep.
I remember that. Yep. That's
Yeah.
Speaking of Mocha Dick Poon, one of my dear friends, a great folk guitarist and blues guitarist, Harry Harpoon is his name. Harry wrote a
nice.
song called Juan Corona, all about that. It was a great song.
Nice.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
So
But, yeah, what I'm I'm either between a spy or a lady that was a strong, independent self worker that just didn't like being followed.
I started out thinking like drug mule. You know,
Mhm.
you get caught somewhere, so you stuff the pills in your mouth. But I don't. It was the 70s. I don't know if like swallowing condoms full of pills was a thing back then or not.
Yeah.
But then then it just started sounding like spy stuff.
Yeah.
She could have been a gangster though, to your point. Like she could have been a part of a drug gang that was like smuggling
I'm
like
sorry, I just think it's funny. I just like the
no,
idea of like Norwegian gangs roving the countryside. I don't know what that's. It's just my head. My head thinks funny things.
but no, but it's
It could
real.
be.
I mean, the other thing to the negotiable affection idea, she
Mhm.
could have been property. Like she could have been a sex slave and someone
And
could
like
have
sent
done
to
away
these
with her.
places
Mhm.
until she was done.
Yeah, and if anybody disagrees with me, I would refer them to the case of Epstein and the girl who was given over to, I think it was Norwegian royalty. And they tried to get her name, or at least, excuse me, let me back up. They interviewed the chef, one of Epstein's chefs, the one who worked in New York, and
Mhm.
they kept saying that she was an assistant, but she was only like 16 or 15 years old and she was
Mhm.
this beautiful supermodel and she wouldn't say anything to him. She barely spoke English, and
Mhm.
then he traveled with them on the plane where she was given over to like a prince and princess of some Scandinavian country and never seen again.
Ooh.
And so it is possible that she could have been trafficked and no one would ever know. And hence why no one's come to claim the body. I just feel terrible for whatever family she may have out there who is
Mm.
wondering what happened to her and will never get that. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
My tea is boiling. I hope the teapot can't be heard too loudly.
nope,
it
I
can't.
can't hear
You're
it.
good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, good.
um yeah, I've always been like I I don't know what it is. It's a fear. It's an irrational phobia. I don't know. I never want to not be identified. And that's one of the reasons I have all my tattoos is because I'm like,
Mm.
you will
Mm.
always be able to identify me no matter what.
Well, one tattoo would have done that. So I'm thinking there's more to it than just body being identified.
Well, that I mean, no, there are still
Yeah.
just because you have a tattoo. I don't think that's super.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember the crispy? Here's the
yeah.
thing, like,
Oh, that's
my
right.
mom this is probably too divulgy, but my mom was in a plane crash. She was burned from head to toe in third-degree burns,
Mhm.
and, I grew up in burn units because she now goes around and is an inspirational speaker and author, but I grew up in burn units, and I'll tell you that flesh it's charcoal,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
on some of those third-degree burns. There is no identification to be had,
Ooh. That's why
so
burning to death is like the worst. I don't want to do that.
I just have a ridiculously weirdly low pain
Wow,
threshold. I
Mike,
just don't like pain.
Jeff, your mic just jumped way up.
it's
did it?
so hot.
Yeah,
Well,
Just
it
like
like
your
just.
hat. I love your hat.
I haven't touched it. It's exactly where it was set when I got here.
It's so weird, and every time you talk, I feel like you can. It's not like a crackling sound, but it sounds like
It sounds like you're on the upper end of what your microphone can handle.
yeah,
Weird.
Like the input is just super high.
yeah, like your mic is yelling at you.
Weird. Is it
Try
still
turning
doing
it
it?
down just a smidge.
Yeah, I haven't turned anything up, but we'll
It
drop stuff down.
That's too quiet now. A little bit up.
Wait, I can't hear him at all now. Are you talking?
No.
Oh,
He's
Sorry.
did you mute?
oh, now you're
he's,
good.
he's
Yeah.
teasing us.
Uh,
Weird. I don't know. this is the best I can do.
It's his tea. See, and that's what I thought. At first, it sounded like every time you talk, like you went to speak, you'd unmute yourself and you could hear the tea in the background. And then as soon as you'd stop talking, you'd mute yourself again because then it would go completely silent. But it sounded like it was the teapot, but it was just feedback. But it did sound like your pop.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, that what they still don't know what started the fire.
We didn't
So
start the fire.
and the
Billy
fact
Joel.
that it was just her burned. It like the fire hadn't spread, the fire didn't it would just burned her and that was it. But they don't know what started it, which also makes me think someone else was there and just kind of like with a lighter or something or a match and then took it with them. Because especially in the 70s, you can't just like have a fire.
Well, and that's what makes me think that maybe she was
What? You couldn't just have a fire in the 70s? What does that mean?
I meant like I'm
What?
see, and this is why Mrs. Flux gets so irritated because she's like, you never finish your thoughts or your sentences. I'm like,
I'm sure it
well,
made sense up here, but you left out some very important
it
information
makes
for
sense
us.
in my head. Everything makes sense to me. I'm like, right? And then everybody's like, no, what? What?
I get that occasionally where I'm just talking and people go, Jeff, do when we did the thing, that doesn't make sense to them, but it does to me.
Exactly. Meaning, like, I don't think there were a bunch of, Bic lighters and all that stuff back then, right?
Yeah, there was.
Like, they had, butane lighters and
I
stuff
think that's when Bic came out.
in the
Was
70s.
in the 60s and
Because I'm
70s.
just thinking of, like, eh,
Jeff,
you
you
know,
tell us. You were alive.
I was alive for like 5 months of the 60s.
no, in the 70s. This is 1970.
Well, I can tell you in the 80s they had them because I set lots of things on fire in the 80s, including 2 major fields and a house.
Oh Lord.
We had a nuclear bomb. We had plastics. We had the boomer generation. I have to imagine Bics existed. Hold on. I'm going to look it up.
Anyway, they had these things called matches. They worked too.
Well, but they said they couldn't determine how it started, meaning they found no evidence of matches. Which typically
They kind of
back then it would have been a wooden match, which if evaluated close enough, if like someone just threw a match on the floor.
They could have done that. She could have been burned somewhere else.
Hey, Camelot,
Oh,
331 in the house.
Camelot in the house. Flux.
What's up?
Jeff. What's up, man? How's it going?
Wow, I have a story. I have a story. Oh, I thought we were done with the story. Okay, continue.
Oh, no, it's just
I'm done.
weird. It's weird.
Flux, are you claustrophobic?
I feel like I'm not, but that just might be me trying to be like, no, I'm not claustrophobic, when in actuality I might be.
Danny, are you claustrophobic?
Not at all. I'm also not like scared of heights.
See, I'm semi-claustrophobic. Like, I mean, I don't mind small spaces, but for extended periods of time, like I can't sit in a bulkhead seat in the airplane. I don't like sitting for 12 hours with a wall this close to my face. I just can't do that. I don't panic. It just, you get this boxed in feeling. You're like, I just want to see something else other than the wall.
I hate flying. Flying for me is horrible because how I see it is you're in a metal tube.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're hurtling through the air at hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
and
not
you know what? Thousands and millions of thousands of people wish they could have been you for millennia. Okay? Like people have wanted to fly since the day that human beings like walked the earth for the first time.
100% want to fly. But like
but
me,
not
I
in a
can
metal
like
you
tube.
just want to fly.
Just not in a
flap your
metal
wings.
tube hurtling through the air at hundreds of miles an hour.
I love flying. The only time I've ever been claustrophobic is underwater, like in a cave.
Ooh,
That is
ooh,
scary. And then the other thing that scares me is like being in a cave with like feeling the ground underneath me move slightly in a cave because I'm afraid it's an
ooh.
earthquake.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like any vibration in a cave freaks me out. And then
Okay. That's
I
where I'm
hate,
going with this, Danny. Continue your
Oh,
story.
tell
Continue
me
your
your
oh.
story.
story.
No, continue
Real
your story.
It's because I need a few more watch out. In the last 2 weeks, Susan's given me 2 watch hours.
That's
Susan
weird.
is no longer around. We now need to blame
Yeah.
the new guy.
So, the new guy has given me 2 watch hours in 2 weeks, and I'm
Fuck the
like,
new guy.
But
we
Camelot,
could
she does have a Cash App right there in the scroll, $Flux Pains.
Oi.
Yeah, and if you guys donate to the Cash App, we don't give any of it to YouTube. So that's great. The more money goes directly to your creator rather than to the Google company.
Or if you send it to me, I'm sure I'll make sure she gets it. Yeah.
But, I'm hoping after this week, I'm gonna do some, streaming this weekend and whatnot. I should get it by this weekend.
Sweet.
I'm
Woo!
hoping, because I'm at like 370, well, 3,700 and whatever. But again, I'm like, oh yay, I went up 2 watch hours in 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure just I stream like for my Minecraft stream, that's like a 5-hour stream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, I mean, Rose is there, Glitter Fart's there,
People watch.
people
People
watch
watch.
me,
It's so much
real
fun.
friends.
Well, see, oh, Camel's talking about like a fear of flying and things. I don't like heights. I hate heights.
What?
But if I'm closed in, it doesn't bother me. If it's like an elevator or an airplane or something like that, it doesn't bother
Roller
me.
coaster?
But roller coasters are fun. I like things like that. But because you're
Okay.
enclosed, I mean, it's like when you're hiking with the Boy Scouts and whatnot, and everybody's like, "Oh, cool, let's get right to the edge of the cliff and look out." I'm like, I'm fine back here because I have that weird feeling that I just want to fall off or jump off, or
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to
Interesting.
fall off, and I don't like that because I'm going. All I think is just one step. So everybody's like sitting on dangling their legs over the side of the cliff. I'm like, pretty good back here. Like rappelling, I
Yeah.
can't do rappelling. I just can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
cannot walk off the edge of a cliff.
I love that feeling. I love bungee jumping. I love skydiving. I love flying. I used to be a pilot before I had to take Ritalin. Like I love aviation. Like, oh, I'm
No,
home
I
in
love
the
flying.
air.
Bungee
See,
jumping, no.
I
I'm not trusting my fat ass to a rubber band. Sorry,
I
not gonna
I
happen.
feel like I I feel like
Skydiving, no.
I wouldn't have a problem if you were if you were the pilot. You would
You
have like
should. You should.
You
no,
should because I
like
don't know how to
You
fly.
no,
really
no, no.
should.
I mean, like for me, I think I would only be like actually comfortable flying if I knew the pilot. I think
Huh.
other than that, nope, I will always be, oh, thanks. I
Everyone's a huge
will
Fox fan.
I will always be terrified of it because it's just like from the takeoff when you're like, "Oh my god, we're about to like slingshot into the air and then coming down." Oh
You
gosh.
need to fly is what needs to happen. Like go pay $100, do an introductory flight with an instructor. They'll let you take the stick for a minute. You can practice. And then as soon as you feel like you're in control, you'll stop being as uncomfortable in the air. I promise. It's the feeling is akin to nothing else, actually. I take that back.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Hmm.
it's somewhat similar to driving in the sense that
Mhm.
you have to like learn the rules of the road. You have to learn right of ways. You have to learn how your plane works, what things do what. Um,
Mhm.
but if
They have
oh,
those for
actually,
ships
it's
too.
really akin to piloting a boat.
Oh,
Yes, they
boats are
do.
fun.
And
Yeah,
the
it's
rules of the
very similar
road.
to a boat. And
Yes,
it's the
they
same
do.
thing because you have a rudder, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's always opposite. And it's the same with your brakes. So if you brake on the right, it's gonna turn this way. If you brake on the left,
Mhm.
it'll turn right. But when
Oh,
you're in the air, when
so
you
flying in
stay
Grand Theft Auto is actually pretty lifelike.
Yeah.
well, the pilots on 9/11 learned how to fly on simulators, allegedly.
Yep. And the thing is, just because I know what I'm talking about on like one thing in life, if you're gonna be a pilot, of a boat or a captain of a boat, you need to follow the rules of the road, which are the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, 1972. You can't pay me enough to spit that stuff out for free. Wait, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Can I
That's not
pay you
true.
to
People
not
pay
spit
you
it out?
specifically
Yeah.
to spit that out.
Yeah,
Jeff, you are literally paid to do that.
I am, but just not here on the stream. All right. Anywho,
What did you
yeah, see,
add
Brad,
here? What did you add? What is this?
this is the Nutty Putty Cave.
This terrifies me.
Oh my god. See, this I'm
Are
pretty
you familiar
sure
with the Nutty Putty Cave, Danny?
Yeah, I was in it before it got shut down. It only got
What?
shut down after this incident.
Why the shit would you go inside this cave?
Yeah.
Because
What?
I like adventure. I'm sorry, I'm not boring. I like
This
Says
is
the
not a-
one who was like, "Oh, going in caves is freak like underwater would freak me out."
I like
Girl.
caves. I just don't like when the cave kind of vibrates, or I feel like it's vibrating. Which, if you spend enough time in the cave,
It will
it
vibrate.
starts to feel that way because you're feeling the heart, like your own heart rhythm on the stone.
Mhm.
And so after
Mhm.
a while, it starts to feel like the cave is moving, even though it is not. And that scares me every freaking time. Every freaking time.
Oh.
But I
I
love
love-
caves. Are you
Oh,
kidding
I
me?
do. I love going in caves. I love cave walking, but this is a particularly nasty cave in Utah.
It's
And
dirt.
this is
It's
a-
mud. It's literal mud. It was nasty. And everybody pisses in it because no one can wait till they get out of the cave to take a pee. So they
Oh,
all piss and shit
God.
in it. So you're basically having there's
Oh.
one part of the cave in the spring.
Well, we'll get into it. Don't.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it.
Oh god.
But this is how they end up dying. I'll just put that part. There's a part in
Well,
the
there
cave.
you go. There's a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. There's a part in the cave. It says on
No,
there.
it was the
Nutty
this
Cave
is how they
incident.
died
Buried
part.
alive.
Being stuck in that position for going on 23 hours now makes it very difficult for him.
On the 24th of November, 2009, John Jones, a 26-year-old medical student and devout family man, was back home in Utah with his pregnant wife and their young daughter for the holidays. During the stay, he and a group of 10 other friends and family members arranged a trip down to the Nutty Putty cave system. This was a supposed beginner's cave, located near the family's home in Salt Lake City, but the trip would quickly turn into a hellish nightmare.
See, now that's the entrance to the cave. Why would anyone go just into
You're
this random
saying that
tiny asshole? This is not
You
a
went
cave. It's
into
a
that
hole.
hole in the ground.
That exact one. And
You
there's
went into
another
that hole in
one-
the ground on purpose.
Yes, and there's another one about 5 miles north that is actually far superior. It's an old mining shaft that they like blew out, but then it opens up into a separate cave like tunnel system that's full of like crystals, and it's just really like there are so many better caves to see that
Well, this is
I
right next to
don't
Mount
understand.
Timpanogos. This is right next to
Timpanogos
Mount
is gorgeous.
Timpanogos.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
mile and a half straight up the mountain, but it's gorgeous, you know. But there's other caves. You can go to Bear Lake. What's the one next to
Yeah.
Bear Lake? That
Oh,
really
yeah.
big one.
Yeah, there's like the big cave that you can walk through. It's just like at the end of Bear Lake.
Literally, been there, done that. Been
There's the
there,
hug
done
up-
that.
Yeah, there's the Hug Up Indian caves on the north shore of Great Salt Lake that are really super cool. It was like
Really
the Hug Up
cool.
Indians. It was like one of these cave dwelling places.
Well, they
But
found.
anywho,
Did you know that they found like 1,000 tiny shoes in one of those caves?
yikes.
What?
Like Native American shoes, and they don't
Oh.
know like the background to it, but like one of the most ancient skeletal remains to ever be found was a mummy found in Nevada, and that's the one cave I really want to go to before I die.
Hmm,
I
cool.
love cave adventures. I would love to go to the cave down in Mexico, the big crystal cave where you can like cook to
Mm.
death if you're not careful. Like I love caves. I've swam in
Yeah.
cenotes.
I want to
I
go to
just
Mammoth
said-
Caves too.
So that's my
Okay,
level
maybe I
of-
am claustrophobic because
Claustrophobic.
screw all of that.
Well, let's see what happened here to Mr. Jones.
Causing one of the most unusual and arguably terrifying deaths in caving history, leading to the Nutty Putty caves being sealed shut forever. This is the story of the Nutty Putty cave incident. Be warned, this is not a story for those with claustrophobia.
Right.
The Nutty Putty caves, first explored in 1960, were notorious for their narrow and slippery passageways, twists and turns.
That's the
Slippery,
cave
that's
The
mouth
cave
there.
system is
Private.
accessible by a narrow hole, just 30 inches wide, and was reported to be an extremely popular beginner's cave, welcoming anywhere from 5 to 25,000 visitors a year.
Boy Scout.
But after a series of high-profile rescue missions between 1999 and 2004, the cave's safety was widely and publicly called into question. All of these incidents involved people becoming stuck in the smaller passageways of the cave, including a 23-year-old man who became stuck for more than 7 hours, just meters away from the place where John Jones would find himself trapped. In another incident, a local teenager became stuck upside down for an entire night before he could be rescued.
That was a miracle.
Because of
he
these
survived.
high-profile incidents, on May 2006, the Nutty Putty cave entrance was gated and inaccessible, and for several years, local cavers, or spelunkers as they're known in the US, would battle local authorities who were threatening to close the cave for good. Officials stated that the caving system was a ticking time bomb, and that it was only a matter of time before somebody was killed. But local spelunking groups
That's
argued that shutting the cave down...
Jeff, can you press pause just for 1 second? I just want to issue a quick PSA because I'm an avid spelunker, and I know that there's a lot of people who come from all over the US to spelunk in the Southwest region. Almost all of the caves south of Salt Lake County and Utah County are uranium mines, and they are not healthy. They're not safe. Please, please, please go with an expert, someone who knows what they're doing. And if you have to go at all, otherwise, please, if there's a big sign out front that says, "Hey, radiation, don't go in," please don't go in.
Okay, well, let's pause this and bring up this other screen here for just a second. This is a famous thing here. Well, let me bring up the famous thing. StreamYard has switched their tabs around. This is annoying.
Yeah, I noticed. Mine just looks different.
Do you guys think that claustrophobia is like a prolonged form of like birth trauma?
I just think it's your brain's way of saying don't be in these things. This is I don't know how big. Wait, shut up.
I love that you just
There we
told a
go.
picture to shut up.
No, I told this video that YouTube started this video automatically in my ears. This here is in a cave, a diving cave, I believe in Florida. This is how serious it is. Stop. Prevent your death. Go no farther. Fact, more than 300 divers, including open water scuba instructors, have died in caves just like this one. Fact, you need training to dive. You need cave training and cave equipment to cave dive. Fact, without cave training and cave equipment, you can die here. Fact, can happen to you. There's nothing in this cave worth dying for. Do not go beyond this point. And people just go, all right, I'm going beyond this point.
It just needs to say will. Fact, you will die. If you don't have training and equipment, you will die. That should just be what it says.
Wow.
Okay. So there's my big warning. And here's the thing, you guys. I'm not saying this because I care about you, although I do. I'm saying this because I love spelunking and I don't want these caves to get closed down. So if you don't know what the hell you're doing, don't go playing in caves.
Darth Chaos says those are in every certified cave for divers. Yeah,
it's true.
There's also there's a story. I know this is going to be super specific. Of the one guy who went diving in the one cave, and just straight up disappeared. Where they sent all these divers in and they never saw him come out, never saw him, like they went all over these tunnels and just never found his body. And I'm like,
there's some great H.P. Lovecraft stories about caves and what happens in caves that I like.
There's stories, like real stories about caves and stuff, like people seeing mysterious things in caves.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other. Ooh, we'll have to do I'll have to do some research and bring that one to the next Unexplained, because caves and weird things happen.
Well, apparently St. Patrick's Day is hitting the house. My family are all drunk texting each other.
Oh, fun.
In the family room, and I had to turn my phone off.
Nice.
Caution.
We should talk about like cave lore next time, and like because there is definitely a reason that the cave is like the entrance to the underworld and like the
Yeah.
opening to hell and all of these things. Like there is something really special about caves.
Let's do that. Let's talk caves next time.
Yeah, because that would be really awesome. Oh, I don't know if you want. Okay, people in chat, if you send me a Cash App or something and you don't want me to like dox you or put out your real name, I won't, but I could just be like Flux fan for life. Thanks for the $20. I mean, unless you do like you don't mind me saying your name. But
You know what still
thank you.
scares me to this day? I have one like besides rape, aliens, and spiders, there is one like situational fear that I have, and
Mhm.
it's dark abyss water,
Mm,
like open water.
mm.
So
Yeah.
you can see your little feet and you can
Mhm.
see sort of the aura around your feet from the light, like
Mhm.
reflecting off your super white skin, and then nothing else.
Mm.
Oh,
See,
oh,
yeah,
that
and
gets me every time.
That
No,
sounds
that's what
peaceful to me. Just
see, I could
like a null chamber. Just
yeah, I
like
could
this
do
study
that
fish.
easier than I could go into a cave.
No, hell
oh,
no. You're in the friggin' shark's kitchen. You're in like every animal's kitchen
See,
in the
and
open
here's the thing,
ocean.
like,
That's a hard no for me.
I'm terrified of the ocean as a whole because we know what, like 2% of it, 5% of it. But when it comes to swimming in the ocean, I love it. Like,
mm.
I love swimming in the ocean.
I love swimming in clear, warm, calm reef environments.
So like a pool.
Bathtub. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I can see the bottom, if I can see the fish around me, if I can like see the coral, if I can dive down to the coral, so like 35 feet-ish. And I'm someone who I like got my scuba training in what's called the crater here. It's a giant like hot spring that has this
Ooh.
like really cool dome over it, and the hot spring goes down like 80 feet.
Ooh.
And so that's where I trained, and like my scuba instructor, to help me get over this fear of dark water, turned off all the lights in the place one night, and it was the most healing, soothing,
Oh.
warm, wonderful experience I've ever had.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
like I've drowned in the open ocean when I was really little, and so now I have like this fear that it's just going to, like, you're so out of control. You have zero control.
Oh, yeah. There was one time, I'm pretty sure I thought I was gonna die, because I was at the end of my breath and I couldn't get up, but just out of nowhere, almost almost like the hand of God just reaching down and pulling me out by my ankle, my adult cousin was like,
Mm.
"You're right
Praise
there?" And at
Jesus.
the time, I was, like, probably 8 or 9, and I'm just like, "Oh my god." But,
Jeez.
Wow.
I still love it. I have a healthy fear, a healthy respect of the ocean.
Wow. Caves.
Yes, caves.
John Jones
Okay,
going in the
sorry.
30-centimeter hole opening. That was your first sign. Don't go in there, but you know.
Oh
I
my
love it. See, you
god.
just got to breathe out,
Down would
Jeff.
be
You
unfair.
breathe out to condense your chest, and then you take like really tiny
Mm.
breaths, and you practice
Yep.
like this rebreathing technique until you can like squiggle through, and you have to wiggle.
Unless you're this guy.
To serious cavers, and that people should take more responsibility for their own safety. It's apparent from the comments and letters written into local papers that some people felt extremely passionate, even indignant, about its potential closure. One letter to Utah's oldest newspaper demonstrates this, reading,
Trib.
"I'm tired of the government deciding it knows what is best for us. Nutty Putty Cave has been a fun spot for me. Both of my sons now love going to that cave.
The government.
I hope
I
somebody
will
can tell
die
me
on
how
this
many
cave.
people have been hurt or killed. I haven't
Fuck
heard
the
of any.
beds.
Possibly a sign telling of the risks involved should be placed by the cave so that we as Americans can decide for ourselves what is best."
That is so
As the
Utah.
war waged on, finally, in September 2007,
Ah,
the caves were
Marka.
officially closed to the public, while a new volunteer management team was put in place. This was a last-ditch attempt to prevent the cave's complete and permanent closure. And then, finally, in March 2009, the Nutty Putty Caves reopened, with a brand new cave management plan. The new plan enforced a process which required would-be spelunkers to apply for a permit 21 days before their visit and agree to follow certain safeguarding procedures, such as having a minimum of 2 people per visiting group that were, and I quote, experienced cavers. And so, it was under these circumstances that 26-year-old John Jones and his then 23-year-old brother Josh Jones, plus 9 other members of his friends and family, entered the Nutty Putty Caves on the 24th of November, 2009. When the group entered the cave at 8 p.m. local time, they would have been confident.
Why would you go into a cave at night? I mean, I don't know why that makes any difference. You're in a cave, but it just seems like, yeah, it seems weird. I don't know why. I've literally no reason why it'd be any worse going into a cave because it's dark in the cave. It's a
So,
cave.
I'll
But
tell you why. If there's bats in the cave, you
Hmm.
don't want to run into a bunch of bats in a
True.
super enclosed space. So
Yeah.
once sundown hits, they're gone
True.
already out hunting.
True.
I
Good
guess
point.
very beneficial to have a spelunker on.
Yeah.
Get to learn all the facts.
This one random time, Danny has like particular
Danny has knowledge that applies.
Yeah.
Whilst John and his brother had not visited the Nutty Putty Caves before, they had spent much of their childhood exploring Utah's caves. In fact, as a small boy, John had more than once acted as a trapped victim for the Utah Cave Rescue Team, a group his father had helped found. But the reality was
Foreboding,
that John
maybe?
and his brother hadn't been spelunking in years, and there is a great deal of debate as to whether John and his brother could act as experienced cavers on behalf of their group. Nonetheless, for the first hour,
Why would you
everything
do
went
this?
well, as the party explored the largest room in the cave, called the Big Slide.
Nope.
It was at this
Nope.
point that his brother Josh and their 2 friends challenged each other to go further on into the next part of the cave, taking on one of the most difficult to navigate areas, known as the
Oof.
birth canal. This part of the cave is so tight that only a few people can actually access it. Eventually,
also
the
heard
birth
the
canal
birth canal.
passageway
Called the
opens
Putty
up into a
Pussy.
small room.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard it called, the Putty Pussy. And I've gone through that small canal there, and it is small because they aren't even to the worst part.
You went
just
through the
yet.
birth canal?
I have gone through so have you.
I did once, like about
well.
53 years ago.
Everyone technically has.
Yeah.
But you went through the Nutty Putty birth canal.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh. Okay, first of all, it's Nutty Putty. What?
Yes.
What? That's a stupid. What is that even? Why? What
Because
is it like?
it's soft mud like putty.
It is. It really is. It's like peanut butter.
So
It
that's
feels
just the
like
name.
peanut butter, and it's
Putty?
almost like sticky. It's almost like a
Oh.
quicksandy type
Yeah.
bottom.
It's like clay, like soft clay.
Yeah, soft clay. That's a good comparison.
But
yeah.
with just a name like that, Nutty Putty, I think I'd stay away.
It's the putty cave, and then nutty just rhymed with putty, so you know. Yeah, but see, like I
Look
said,
at
I'm not
that.
claustrophobic, but no, this ain't gonna happen. I cannot do things like this, where I can't move freely. I don't like being constrained like that.
If it fits, I sit.
Yeah.
Several people had become stuck in the birth canal previously, but John, a fit, healthy, and slender man in his
Wait,
prime,
no, why are
wasn't worried. Heading through the
Wiggle, wiggle,
passageway
wiggle.
first, with his brother behind him, John wriggled on just his stomach down what he thought was the entrance to the birth canal. But John, unknowingly, had taken a wrong turn down an unmapped passageway via a route known as the Corkscrew, a place where only the smallest and most flexible of cave explorers could fit. As John pushed forward, the passageway became tighter and tighter,
Ugh.
and he became unable to turn back on himself. When he saw what looked like a small opening at the end of the crawl
I'm already
space,
getting
he
anxiety
continued
listening to
on
this.
with hopes of being able to
I
turn
mean-
around. Unfortunately, this is where things took a turn for the worse, because John was crawling headfirst into a 10 by 18-inch fissure that dropped straight down. Worse still, John had sucked in his chest to slide past a lip of rock to get into the fissure, meaning that
See?
when his chest expanded again, he became completely trapped in an area the size of a small, front-loading washing machine. John made several attempts to free himself. It was no use.
Ugh.
It was at this point that he began calling for his brother. When Josh finally found John, for a split second, he thought that this would be a silly story to tell later on that evening, but as he examined the situation more closely, dread settled in. Josh made several desperate attempts to free his brother, but none of them worked. In fact, He had made the situation worse. John had slid further down into the passage and was now completely upside down, with both of his arms pinned to his side, unable to move at all. It was at
Oh,
this
it's so
point
sad.
that the two brothers realized that they needed help. Josh alerted
Yeah.
the rest of the group and left a friend to stay with John as he rushed out of the cave system to a nearby hill to get reception and
Now,
call
the worst part
911.
about this
Knowing
is
help
trying to unstick someone once they're stuck in that kind of position is
Yeah.
nigh impossible because
Yeah.
over time their body swells. So if you
Mhm.
can
Yeah.
touch them fast enough, you might be able to pull them loose. But with all of their bodily fluids like seeping down into every like free orifice of organ in their body on the front half, it's going to be really hard to get them out on the back half without actually like dislodging body parts or pulling off body
God.
parts. Like it is
Ugh.
really sad. And someone in chat mentioned the internet historian did the like
Oh,
Russian
yeah.
cave.
Mm.
That's a good one to talk about for
Yeah.
next time.
The internet historian, their video is pretty because I like all those guys. They do a funny they
Oh,
make it
it's brilliant.
entertaining.
Brilliant.
Mhm.
Ooh, as I said, I this just
You
gives
okay,
me
Phil?
anxiety listening to it, and
Yeah.
yeah, because this is just kind of, I mean, it's ugh. I mean, it's literally gut wrenching to hear this story. Uh,
Mm.
that would suck. Because then you think about it from
Absolutely.
so many different positions. The brother that has to go and find help. I mean, what's he thinking, knowing his brother is stuck in this? What the dude that's stuck there? He
Yeah.
can't move.
And gotta
I
go
just can't
fast.
imagine the panic that would be setting in on this guy. And
Not to mention the
panic's a killer, you know. But
not
how
to
do you
mention
stop from panic?
the pain from being held upside down, suspended by a rock.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Ugh.
I'm
Uh,
with you. Fun time.
was on the
Oh,
way, he went back down into the cave where his brother was still pinned upside down. It would be 3 hours before help would arrive.
The other
At
thing is
12:30
it's so
a.m., the
cold
first
out there.
yeah.
mm.
It's so hella cold. Like we have ice caves here in Utah. You can go any time of year and there's like ice everywhere because it's just cold. Nutty
Oh.
Putty was one of those cold caves.
rescuer arrived on the scene. It was Susie Matola, a local volunteer who immediately rushed to the scene when she received a message on her pager. Right away, Susie realized that John's predicament was much, much worse than she had thought. She knew she had to keep John calm, and so she greeted him and told him that he'd be out in no time, and not to
Ugh.
worry, to which John
Liar.
replied, "Hi, Susie. Thank you for coming, but I really, really want to get out." Susie tried absolutely everything she could think of to pull John out, including cutting off part of his jeans to free up some space. But after 2 hours, Susie was exhausted and unsuccessful. She was forced to crawl back up to the surface where, at this point, both his wife and his daughter and around 30 rescuers had arrived on the scene. There, a very concerned but calm group were brainstorming plan after plan. They discussed everything from breaking John's legs to lubricating the walls with several gallons of oil. But eventually, they decided upon a system
Yeah,
of
at
ropes
that
and pulleys
point,
to hoist
like,
John
just
out,
trank
legs
him
first.
and
This
break his
pulley system
legs.
would be
Trank him though.
I mean, can you imagine if that's like, sorry, dude, we got to break your legs.
That's what
Ugh.
I would do. I would have
I
broken his
mean,
legs. I would have like tranked him, broken his legs, and then done the oil
wormed
bit.
his
I
way
think
out.
that sounds like a plan. And then just slide like a little like with a
Ugh.
stick, slide a rope down to his face and be like, okay, we're
Well,
gonna
see, I mean,
hoop this.
the guy who I think is the baddest mother effer on planet Earth was the guy that was down in southern Utah and he got wedged in the rock. They made that movie about him, was
Oh,
127 hours or whatever it was.
yeah.
So
And he
good.
cut off his own
Where
arm
he
with
had
a
to he's hanging and he has to break his own arm and then use a tiny mini blade
He went
pocket knife
full
to cut
lizard.
his
He's like,
arm
I don't
off.
need this appendage. Bye.
Yeah, I mean that's a badass guy that can break his own arm and then cut it off with this little cut his own freaking broken arm off with a tiny little pocket knife.
like
Ah,
just
But to be
oh
clear, he was an avid hiker and had hiked all the rest of the
yeah,
Rockies leading up to that point. And so it makes sense, is my point. Like, and even then, wasn't he rappelling alone that day? I thought he was down there
yeah. He
rappelling
was
by
alone.
himself.
yeah. Yeah.
And see,
Which
as
is
someone who
stupid
has
AF.
broken my femur and broken both of my arms, I would be like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna die. I ain't breaking another damn bone if I don't have to. Oh God. Anywho, ugh.
I'd
Yeah,
break it.
that was 127 hours. Yeah, that was the movie about this guy.
I'm more impressed that he was able to stem the bleeding with one arm,
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
one arm and tighten it enough so that he could cut through the arteries and stuff.
And the tendons.
Yeah.
Aided by drilling some of the rock around him to create more space. Members of the rescue team made their way to John with the equipment, but they ran into problems. The rock wasn't coming away quickly enough, and removing what did come away from the wall was proving impossible to do safely, not least of which because the rock was falling back down onto John. Back at the surface, the rescue team, now in their hundreds, were all becoming increasingly concerned. Things were moving slowly. Each trip to pass a piece of gear to John's location, 700 feet deep within the cave, took an hour, and only one person could ascend or descend down the passageway at a time. To make matters worse, when rescuers told on-site trauma surgeon Doug Murdoch that John was
No, I
upside
see you,
down,
Corn
Doug
Pop.
made the team aware that this likely meant that
You-
John would
you
only
good, Corn
have
Pop.
10 hours before his organs would fail.
He a bad guy
The
who
human
runs with some
body
bad
is
dudes.
designed.
What was it?
Huh?
Corn Pop. He was a bad guy who ran with some bad dudes. You don't remember the Biden Corn Pop story? We'll watch that after
Next
this,
time.
'cause that's an unexplained
Yeah.
tale on its own.
Eh.
only have 10 hours before his organs would fail. The human body is designed to be upright. The heart works with the force of gravity, and if it can't, blood and fluids quickly begin to pool in the brain and lungs, and eventually it becomes extremely difficult to breathe. On top of this, the heart begins to work overtime, and it becomes increasingly difficult to pump blood around the body, which can lead to cardiac arrest. This was something Susie noticed within the first hour of working to free John, a distinct rattling noise coming from his chest, a clear sign that fluid was pooling in John's lungs. He was already starting to asphyxiate. The rescue team decided that the immediate goal should be to get John out of his dangerous position to alleviate the pressure on his lungs. The team got to work immediately to install the first system of ropes and pulleys, but they quickly ran into several problems. John's legs and feet couldn't bend back around the curve of the shaft he had slipped into. On top of this, the lip of rock that he had breathed in to slip past was catching on his chest. It was, as one official put it, the worst possible place to be stuck. Nonetheless, the team managed to hoist him up enough to elevate his position slightly and administer IV. Unfortunately, just moments later, this first pulley system failed, and John slid back down into his original spot. At this point,
Go in
John
there.
was swinging in between a state of calm and panic, and so a decision was made to bring a two-way cable radio into the cave so that John could speak with his wife. The conversation was tense, but it did serve to keep him calm enough for the next system of ropes and pulleys to be installed. Finally,
They probably
after
played
19
together.
hours, a
That's so
team of
fun.
8 were ready to pull. But there was a problem. Each pull was agonizing for John, and the team had to pause several times to avoid breaking his legs. And then, a glimmer of hope. On the third pull, John was lifted up high enough to make eye contact with his rescuer, who later commented that his eyes were red, his face was dirty, but that he seemed fine
Is
otherwise.
that
Grab
him?
When the
him.
rescuer asked him how he was, John said, "It sucks. I'm upside down. I can't believe I'm upside down. My legs are killing me." The rescuer saw that even though John was complaining, he had a smile on his face. And then, on what was to be the fourth pull, disaster struck.
That they have a raising system that was helping to hold him in position. One of the devices as part of that system failed, and
Why
Mr.
did
Jones
no one
actually
grab
ended up
him?
falling back into the area where he had been
Right?
stuck
Like,
for
why
so long.
wasn't
The
anyone
system.
else holding him?
That's what I don't get, because he already slipped and fell once because of the pulley system.
Yeah.
So grab him on the second pull and be like, okay, I'm just going to hold you, like at least hold on to your shirt so that in case you drop again, we're going to drop you on your head. You can at least die by passing out rather than going
Yeah.
back in the hole.
Had failed. The entire team fell backwards. When the team regained composure, they realized that the worst thing imaginable had happened. A bolt that was drilled into one of the cave's walls had come out, causing part of the cave to crumble. This had hit the lead rescuer in the face, causing him to momentarily black out. And
Mm.
worst of all, John had slid back down into the crevice and had now become completely unresponsive. With the rescuer closest to John now needing medical attention, a second lead rescuer took his place. Satisfied that John was, in fact, still breathing, in a state of desperation, the new rescuer somehow managed to slip a rope around John's waist. But he himself became stuck and needed help from other members of the team, sustaining multiple injuries in the process. A third lead rescuer made a last-ditch attempt to free John by desperately drilling away the rock around him. But it was no use. The entire team was exhausted. John was barely breathing and was still unresponsive.
At least
He had gone into cardiac arrest, and tragically, there was nothing anyone could do. It was at this point that John's wife Emily was informed of the situation. John was technically alive, but unconscious. In her desperation, she believed that he could still survive the ordeal and continue to radio down. In one of her final communications with John, she said, "I know you've been pushing so hard for so long. Why don't you rest for a minute and take a break, and then you can push again?"
Okay,
At this
hold on.
point, whilst
Hold
they
on,
couldn't
press pause.
officially
Hold on,
confirm
real
it,
quick.
All right,
rescuers suspected
hang
the
on.
worst.
There we go.
Again, this is probably too divulging. Someone's going to figure this out at some point. But my mom, when she was burned from head to toe in 3rd-degree burns, and she was in the ambulance on her way up to the hospital where they had a burn unit, the nurse leaned down to her ear and said the same thing. He said, "You don't need to breathe. We'll breathe for you. Stop resisting. Stop fighting us." And the exact same thing happened. She took her last breath and died. Don't worry, she came back to life, but that's what happened. So,
Mhm.
word of advice, don't tell people to calm down or just go to rest or go to sleep. It's going to be okay. Don't say that unless you want them to end it peacefully.
Yeah.
And so,
Don't
a
go
brave
quietly
paramedic
into
was
that
sent
sweet
down to
night.
take a pulse,
Yeah,
confirming
exactly.
what everyone had suspected. At 11:56 p.m. on the 25th of November 2009, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead 28 hours after he had initially become stuck. Emily was initially in complete disbelief. She refused to believe that her husband could die from such a simple mistake and did not accept that a pulse taken from the leg could indicate that he was dead. Eventually, officials managed to calm her down, agreeing that they would do everything in their power to remove her husband's body from the cave. Not wanting to let a grieving widow down, the team discussed what was reported to be some rather distasteful plans to get John's body out, but this would prove to be impossible. Even if they were able to free John, his lifeless body would not be able to twist properly in order to be fully removed from the cave, at least not intact. It was decided, given everything that had transpired, that it was simply too dangerous for the rescue team to attempt to remove his body. And so, a decision was made to seal the entrance of the cave with concrete, with John's body inside, forever. John's family had a plaque installed on the entrance of the cave in his memory. Later, the family would release a statement where they said that John Edward Jones, husband, father, and pediatric cardiologist in training, would be remembered for his, quote, "good nature, delightful sense of humor, strong work ethic, a genuine love of people, a masterful ability to relate to children, a love of and unwavering faith in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and his commitment to his family as an amazing husband, father, son, and brother." To this day, John's remains are still inside the cave, serving as a harrowing reminder of the very real risks of cave exploration. This is the Real Horror Channel, the place for all things
Prayers
really
for him and his
horrifying.
family,
If you enjoyed
especially
this
his
video,
poor family.
please
Like, I'm dangerous, okay? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a little crazy when it comes to my adventure time, but once I have kids, that's off the table.
Yeah. Yeah, like at that point you're responsible for more than just you. Why would you put yourself through that? Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's just a creepy story to me. Ugh.
That's just like
That's a rough story.
yeah. That's it's one of those things where in your
You're,
right
you're rebooting. You're buffering. Flux is buffering.
in your right mind, what drives you to do that? Like, what for you, Danny, drives you into that space?
She's insane. That's all.
No. Some people are afraid of the unknown. Some people are excited by it. I am
Well,
one of those people who is excited by the unknown. I want to explore. I want to know. I want to be the first to touch something. I want to be the first to be out there. I want to be like that. For me is so much fun, and there's no greater accomplishment. Like, I love mountaineering. There is no greater accomplishment than summiting like a really challenging mountain. There's something that is a thrill I can't describe. It has to be experienced, and there's so much to learn about life and surrendering yourself to the uncertainty of life by
mhm.
going through these experiences and going
Mm.
through these thrills. Like, there's something to the idea of you don't know you're alive until you're almost dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So flirting with death makes me feel alive. Everybody
Great,
feels alive in their own ways, okay?
great
And
Molly
I'll tell
Hatchet
you
song,
though,
"Flirting with Disaster." Great song.
Mhm.
I'll tell you though, I get a similar rush from running outside in the cold rain. Okay?
Yeah, so go
Like,
outside and run in the cold rain. That's the best way
yeah,
to do it.
like there's all
Yep.
kinds of ways to simulate that sort of emotional or evocative type feeling, but there's just something special about the unknown and the unexplored.
Well, as Queen sang, "Keep yourself alive."
Yeah. See, and like I am fully for exploration and all of that. But when it comes to manipulating my body through a birth canal, I'm going to pass on that. Cuz like is was there something on the other end of that tunnel that was cool to see?
We don't
No, it
know.
was a
That's why you got
dead
to go
wall.
look.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll take someone else's
That's
word for
it.
it. See, I
That's
love being
it.
alive so much. I don't want to do anything that puts me in serious jeopardy of no
But there's
longer
just a
being
wall to
alive.
go look at.
But maybe there isn't. Maybe
But
there's hidden treasure. Maybe there's like
there's
a
a
monster. Who
there's a
knows?
cave in my hometown, Logan Cave. You go up Logan Canyon near Logan, go to Logan Cave. We're pretty creative with our names up north. Uh, and it's kind of like this multi-level cave where you have to be helped up into the second level, and then you have to pull up whoever else is behind you. And
Mhm.
there is kind of a little narrow-ish place. But all the way in the back, there was a book. Like people that got to the back would sign the book.
Ah,
And that was
okay.
always a thing, to go back and sign the book to prove you've been back there. But then some jack off kids started spray painting shit, and there's a local bat population. They were fucking with the bats, and so now there's a big giant steel gate in front of it that no one can ever go inside ever again.
I hate
See,
people.
this is why we
They
need the
ruin
PSAs.
things.
They ruin everything. Like,
Mhm.
if you're gonna go do cool stuff, but don't be an asshole. Like, don't ruin it for
Yeah.
everyone else. And don't ruin the mystery either. Like, I hate, oh, there is nothing worse than going on a hike or going on an adventure and being like, oh, having people come back and be like, it's not worth it. Like, just turn around. And I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck you. I already came like I'm 12 miles into this hike. Like, I'm not turning around at this point. And you know what? Everybody has different expectations. Everybody has different levels of enjoyment when it comes to exploration and finding new things or experiencing new things. So I don't blame you guys for not being interested and being like, you know what? Cool beans. Have fun, Danny. You go figure it out. You go die. Like, I get it.
I like
I just
watching other people do it. I just don't want to do it myself.
see, that's what
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean. Like, there's a lot of people like that. And I was always that kid where it's like all the teenage boys are doing something stupid and I have to one up them. And then I like get hurt and my parents would yell at me. Yeah, I was that kid.
I was literally in the hospital just about every 6 months from the time I was maybe 10 until 15.
Wow.
I was just a bored kid in a tiny little town of northern Utah. You can get into some shit. I mean, it was literally so bad that when I had my first motorcycle accident, and that's the day I learned there's a reason you don't ride street bikes on dirt roads. Uh, we had this gravel road, and that's the cool thing about my hometown is so small that you can still run into people anywhere on the planet that know the area and just say the dirt road, and they know exactly where you're talking about. I was out on the dirt road with my street bike, and I learned that it's a bad idea to do that. And there was lots of blood and missing flesh. Like I have no nerve endings in this part of my elbow,
Oh,
right
good
here, because
lord.
it just sort of ground right along the bone, right down to the elbow, so it ripped out all those nerves. And I remember going into the emergency room with my dad on a Sunday morning. And for those of you that know, it was stake conference morning, so we didn't have to go to church that morning. And
Thank
so I
goodness.
went out to ride my motorcycle, and so I guess God punished me by making me crash and bleed. But anyway,
Ooh, Jessica Raid.
hey Jess.
What's up, Jessica?
So
Woo!
we go into the hospital, and this was literally the announcement that the nurse at the reception desk made. It was like Dr. Brenner was the guy's name. And this is how embarrassing it was for my father. I remember the emergency room doctor's name, and this was like 40 years ago. I guess it
Oh,
was like 38 years ago. She picks up the phone and she says, Dr. Brenner, come to the emergency room. It's this guy again. And you drop my full government on them.
oh.
It's this boy again. And my dad was like, oh God. Because they literally just announced it was me. And like, it's him again. That's how often
Oh,
I was in
good
the hospital.
lord. That's
Oh,
terrible.
my dad was so mortified. But it was great because I had like these giant rocks and stuff just jammed in there, like it scraped the bone a little
You must have
bit.
been
And
the coolest kid, like coming back to school that next fall. Like you'd have been like,
yeah.
see this? I got this out on a bike. Like, and it's funny, there's only one time I've ever been cautious about what I did. It was on this giant slide in Vacaville, California. And I looked down at the bottom, it was like 2 stories high. And I remember watching all the kids jumping off of it, and I was about to. And in the back of my mind, I remember what my mom told me that morning. We don't fucking have health insurance. Please don't do something stupid. We're not taking you to the hospital. And I was like, fuck. And I like
Yeah.
climbed down the slide. So
Oh, good lord.
at
No,
least you
what?
had yourself taken care of there, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've broken every finger and every toe, but as far as like major limbs, I've been pretty good. I broke my face, but like that's
What?
that's not
Ouch.
a major limb,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. But
I've been lucky that every major break that I've had also damaged the nerves, so none of them ever hurt.
ah,
Like both of my arms, when I broke those in that motorcycle accident, I mean,
oh,
my whole arm was numb and paralyzed for about a year while the
oh,
nerves so that didn't hurt. And then when my wrist it slipped off the growth plate, and when it did that, it pinched the nerve, so that was like totally cool. And then when I shattered my femur, that just sent my entire leg into shock. So I mean, like I've broken my toe when I kicked a wall a couple times, but
oh.
I
See,
did
that
I
hurt.
like growing up, I grew up in the Orange County. I grew up in the OC. So wearing shoes was like always optional. And running around like you're running around on like asphalt and concrete and bare
Yeah.
feet.
glass
And
and
so
trash.
yeah, I
And
like
the fucking bullthorns that like get stuck in your foot and you have to
oh
like pull them out with both fingers and scream and they still hurt after you've removed them, which makes no
yes.
bloody
Well, yeah.
sense.
Oh my, there was this one time I was down, my family used to go camping in Carlsbad. It's down near San Diego. Used to go camping in Carlsbad.
I used to live in Fallbrook. That's crazy.
What?
I grew up in Fallbrook, like right behind the base.
Really?
Yeah, that's
You know,
crazy.
I think about all the times when you and I have probably like the fact you were in Korea in 2012 too, right? Like the
We all
fact
could have
that
met.
we all could have met and our paths have crossed so closely so many times. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
We were all here in Korea at the same time, and we didn't know it.
That is weird, isn't it? Did
Yeah.
you? Because you guys didn't know each other back then, did you?
And she's in the same city, like kind of the same
Oh,
area of the same city.
wow.
Yeah.
He's
And
practicing the
both
kind of law
Americans,
I
so it's
wanted to
odd that
practice.
you two didn't know each other.
Nope.
Yeah.
He also
Especially
went to the university I wanted to go to. Like he's lived my future life.
nice.
Oh, see, Fiery Red podcast says, I hope my nerves heal. I'm a musician and it affects my right ring and pinky. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm a guitar player, and I can't do bar chords well because this wrist is fine. My right wrist is fine, but the left wrist that I broke, it's got this nice steel plate in it, and I can't turn it more than that. So I can't turn my wrist enough to make a good bar for a bar chord on a guitar. So
Ooh.
it's just it's a matter of learning how to record things.
Yeah, thankfully, like I said, the worst thing I've ever broke is like all my fingers and all my toes. But like when there was the one summer we were camping in Carlsbad, I think it was probably like 14, and I was running through our campsite barefoot, obviously. And the people before us, I guess, didn't pick up all of their metal stakes that they had in the ground. And as I'm running through,
Oh,
my yeah, 2 of my toes catch on this metal stake that's half in the ground and still kind of hooked over and
Ah!
yep,
two,
yep.
okay,
That
two
was
quick things here. Nicholas Holbrook says, same here. Jeff was at a motorcycle. Yep, that was the last motorcycle accident I had. I broke both of my arms at the same time.
there we go.
But yeah, and he said that sucks. There's a lot of things you can't do with 2 broken arms, and especially one that's just like paralyzed, limp, and hanging. Of course, as my brother said, "Wow, you can meet the stranger every night."
Ugh.
that was
Oh,
my brother's.
oh
That was my
god.
brother's encouraging words. But
You gotta love brothers.
yeah, and I can't remember what the other thing I was. Oh yeah, because we used to play night games and toilet paper houses and
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the
do
good stuff.
ding dong ditching, we'll call
Yeah.
it. We called it other things because we were stupid kids, but we were knocking on somebody's door, ringing their doorbell, and we were running across the neighbor's backyard. And that's when we learned that sometime in the very recent past, they had placed in above ground sprinklers on their lawn. And
Oh.
I just ripped the shit out of my shin on one of these Rainbird sprinklers. Just ah, I wish I could show you the
Oh.
scar on my shin. It's pretty cool.
See,
Yeah,
this is
just
why. Ooh. Sorry.
I was gonna
Keep
say
going.
that, like, I have the scar still on my toes, but I'm not showing my feet.
yeah.
Not yet.
Don't show your feet.
Except the 2 times I broke my big toe was doing martial arts. Doing like spinning kicks and realizing I was much closer to the wall than I thought.
Have you ever done one of those things where, like, you've jammed your finger back so bad?
Yes.
Like, playing tetherball as a kid, I will say like, my fair share of times, I'm pretty sure I jammed my finger completely back into the like
And then it can't
ugh.
move. It's like all frozen. You're like,
Yep,
ow. Yeah.
yep, and then you have to, like, pop it out, and then it's just, like, the size of a whole sausage for
okay.
3 weeks.
See, this is why you guys are scared of this shit because you don't do things. Okay, Jordan Peterson said it best. You need to allow kids to do dangerous things carefully. Okay? I have only ever broken my tailbone. Now, have I
Ow, I've done that before.
dislocated a
Ow,
bunch
ow,
of shit?
ow. Did
Yeah,
you get to
I've
sit on the
dislocated a
inflatable
bunch of
donut?
shit. But
How
I
do you break a
dislocated
tailbone?
You fall really
my
hard.
tailbone. It was a horse. It was tired
Oh,
of
okay, that
riding
makes
that day,
sense.
and it took off, and I had to jump off before it went into its corral before I actually did get hurt. So I broke my tailbone. And
Oh.
honestly, your tailbone never quite correctly heals. So after like 6 hours of sitting, you feel like you're in pain. Anyway, regardless, I have only ever dislocated a few things, and I dislocate them doing normal things normally. Okay. Like opening the door the wrong way or like being pushed on the ground and just having my shoulder pop out, like weird crap. Okay.
Mm.
But I cannot believe the amount of pain you guys have suffered.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get why you're concerned. That's my point. It's like I kind of get it now. Like me,
Well,
I've
see,
never.
Like, the
that's the
broken
thing with
face
kids.
was
Go ahead.
pretty bad for me.
Wait,
Yeah, I bet.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
bad for anybody. A
Yeah,
broken
that's
face
fair.
sounds really
That's
unpleasant.
fair.
Well, see, this thing about being a parent now, when my son was growing up, and he would like walk across the living room floor. I'm like, be careful, there's a table there, like up here. And I start thinking, and I'm so glad that he didn't do a tenth of the shit I did when I was a kid. I if he would have, now I get why my parents just gave up and went, all right, if you die, you die. Don't come crying to us. Because I mean, the things that I did, and I'm still alive to tell about it.
Mm.
It's just like the biggest anxiety I had is that you see my son doing something. Oh, I did 10 times worse than that, and I'm still alive. But don't do it.
The stupidest thing I've seen boys do, because I've seen boys do a lot of stupid shit. Because again, I was like one of the guys kind of growing up. And so, but the dumbest shit I would see guys do is play with fire. Like
Oh,
men,
see, that's
there's
my
something
problem.
about giving like some kind of flame to a guy. And it's
Oh
like
yeah.
any logic, anything that, these like alpha men will brag about men having more of immediately goes out the window because they're just like, oh, I'm going to jump over the fire pit, or oh, I'm going to light this giant bonfire but I have gasoline all over my hands, but who the hell cares? And I'm going to catch on fire. It's going to be sweet. Or I'm going to piss on this fire pit, but I'm not going to be well balanced on the edge of the fire pit and I will fall in it, but it's cool, dude. Or like wrapping
I have
your
a thing for
friends up in
fire.
toilet paper and lighting it on fire.
That's
Like
dumb.
dumbest shit. Just dumbest effing shit. Or like I see it all the time at bars too. I'm like, how do you guys have liquor licenses? You shouldn't have adult licenses. Like, how
But
can
see,
you be so fucking dumb?
the problem with fire is that it's fun.
It is, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's fun, and
It is
I
beautiful.
just love how the more you stare at fire, the more you can see the shapes, and it's almost like it slows
Mhm.
down, and you can see the individual wisps of flame
Yep.
break away. And
Does it hurt
Yep.
your eyes when you stare at a flame for too long?
no,
I'm not gonna lie, one thing that's
yeah, go ahead.
super nice is to get kind of baked and then just have some candles going and relax and watch the
That
flames.
sounds like a really good plan tonight.
Now, see, that's what
That
I
sounds
love, just to go
lovely.
camping and just
Just watch
stare
the
at the
fire.
fire for hours,
And I will
and then I
say,
start thinking of
when you're
burning things.
baked, it is even more awesome.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I think God,
I've been
I
baked at an
was
aquarium. That was
4
awesome.
or 5 when I started getting really interested in fire.
Mm.
When I was like 4 or 5 years old, and it's kinda hard to watch a 4 or 5-year-old all the time. And we had this gas stove, I remember, and I think I was
Oh my
4.
god.
We had this gas stove in the basement where I dwelt with the spiders. Ugh, the house. I'm 4
Don't
years
do
old, and
spiders. Burn
now
it.
listen, I'm 4 years old, and I remember the damn spiders in that house. That's how traumatized I was. And I just had, like, the dials on the stove. Like, you turn it all the way, and then the flame lights, and I remember thinking it was like a spaceship or something. I was playing with the dials on the Star Trek Enterprise or some shit when I was 4 years old, and
Cute
then I
little
went off to
cat.
play, and I realized that I didn't I just went out to play, and then the fire truck showed up at the house. That was pretty cool, because apparently I had started one of the curtains above the stove on fire in the basement. Did a few $1,000 damage to the house. Dad was pretty happy. That's back when the entire 3-story house cost 12,000. So I did significant damage to the house.
Poor
And then I
Jeff.
set a
You're
field on fire
sorry.
playing with ants.
That's
Uh,
fun.
I
See,
s-
but you
and
gotta be smart though and always have like I only played with fire as long as I had water.
Well, see, I learned that's the second field. Yeah, I set this field on fire once, and then when I was older, like 10, 11, I set another field on fire.
Oh, good
And
lord.
that's when that's the day. Well, see, that was always the thing, was I'd learned to have water. And that was the day I learned that water doesn't help when it's a gasoline fire.
No.
And it's also the
Or
day
an
I
oil
learned
fire.
you can't usually see the flames from a gasoline fire. Because we thought me and my friend, we were just playing with fire. We like start little piles of sticks and things on fire in this field. And we thought we had it put out. Because we were using obviously gasoline as an accelerant to see if we could burn rocks and stuff like that. And then we just like noticed that there was this black ring that kept expanding around us. And we're like, holy crap, it's a gasoline fire. And so we put water on it and learned that doesn't help. And then again, the fire trucks show up. Luckily, the owner of the
You're a
alfalfa field was
menace.
a family friend. So he didn't sue the shit out of us for setting his field on fire. We just got a very stern lecture from the fire authorities, and that kind of cured me
Wow.
of my fire bugginess. Now, yeah.
All
So I don't
right,
do
Jeff,
fires in the wild anymore.
it's fucking official. You are like top tier prime serial killer quality. Like you're white, you're of like
You live
above average
alone.
intelligence, you live alone,
You're
you
divorced.
like fires as a child, you're divorced.
If his
I mean,
dogs go missing, then we should be concerned.
did you have a
Aw.
Game Boy as a kid or no?
No, that's why. See, that's
See,
why
there you
I got
go.
into all of this trouble. See, I got into all of this
It's
trouble
official.
because we didn't
All
have
because-
things like electricity when I was a kid. No,
Jeff is officially
You are actually a criminal because you couldn't pretend to be a criminal in Grand Theft Auto. So
Yeah,
you
well,
were out
this is-
being a real criminal as a kid.
my dad was my dad was just convinced that computers and electronics are just like wasting time and therefore tools of the devil kind of thing. I remember when I was here in 1988 as a missionary, called home for Christmas, and he was so excited that he finally broke down and bought an electric typewriter in 1988.
Oh my God.
So
And
when I'm
you
trying to go to law
your
school
father,
a few years
closer
after
relationship
that,
to your
I'm
mother.
trying to convince him that I need a computer for law school. He's like, what? They don't have paper and pens anymore? I'm like,
Oh, good lord.
yeah. No.
Yeah, there we go. Jeff, it's
yeah.
official. You're a serial killer in waiting. Just
Yeah.
the right opportunity.
Out in Nibley, Utah, there's not a hell of a lot to do other than get in trouble. That's like
Kill people.
the default mode is shoot things out hunting or get in trouble. Those are your two options.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
I
literally,
feel that.
like
Well,
we
that's not
thought it was a
true.
great idea to take these giant. We put like double thick plywood, rest them up on we'd see how many cinder blocks we could do. You put them up on shitty cinder blocks and make a ramp, and then you would jump your bicycle over garbage cans.
I was gonna say that is
Friends who were
totally
dumb
an
enough
option.
to, yeah.
And
Mhm.
building
then-
yourself like a course, right, for your dirt bike,
Yes,
or like
but you
trapping
still
random
crash and
animals
burn and
killing
get
them in
hurt.
random ways. That I've seen. Oh, I'm
Yep.
trying to think. When I lived out in the boonies, I kept myself occupied with like stars and learning
See-
like what is that called? I used to know it really well.
Finger.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Morse code, telegraph.
Morse code. Thank
Nice.
you. God, my brain is
The
broken. This is
telegraph,
why I
yeah.
don't drink. I'm gonna go to the restroom.
Oh, Swan Lake Lady has asked the $1 million question. What would you do with fireworks? Let me tell you my
Oh.
fireworks story. And unfortunately, this was only like 12 years ago. Me and my motorcycle club, we went riding out to the West Coast here in Korea, and we were just going to camp on the beach. And all the beaches, they sell like these Roman candles
Mhm.
that just shoot off the little firework things out of the end. I introduced them to something we used to do as a kid. We'd have
Mhm.
Roman candle wars. Exactly, Eric.
Oh
Follow.
my
We had
Seriously?
Roman candle
This-
wars. Yes, you just
Oh.
shoot the Roman candles at each other, running up and down the beach with the Koreans thinking we're just insane. But let me tell you,
Oh my god.
those burning balls of magnesium that burn at like basically the surface of the sun, like literally 2,000-3,000 degrees, these things will burn. One of the guys blasted one at me and it went down the back of my shirt. And I
Oh.
literally had this blister that ran from the nape of my neck to my belt line. And I couldn't sleep on my back for about 3 weeks.
Oh
'Cause
my god.
It just literally burned straight down my spine under my shirt.
Oh.
That's when it stopped being fun that day.
Oh, good lord. See,
And you're
no.
sitting here giving me shit about going spelunking or skydiving or bungee jumping, and Mr. Vices is out here freaking going on Roman candle war time on a
Yeah,
beach in
no
Korea.
kidding.
Oh,
Imagine
so-
all
'cause
the poor little Ajima and Ajashi there. They're just like hanging out, like
they
Right,
were
and they're
weirded
like-
out.
and they're just-
There may or may not have been a great amount of alcohol consumed before I said, "Hey, let's do this."
Oh my god.
Well, as kids, we used to have BB gun wars all the time in the Navy. But like See, I didn't know I was poor until I got older and realized I was poor because basically everyone around me was poor, but there was always like the rich kids that you
Mhm.
knew had more money than you because you had like the little 3-wheeled Hot Wheel things you rode around on, but his had a brake, so he could
'Cause
do these like
you had
he could
the
do these
whizzer
drifting
when
things.
everybody else had the razor.
Yeah, and you know, we all had BB guns, but he had like a pump BB gun. So we had to
Oh.
initiate the no more than 3 pumps rule, and literally we just would run around in the woods behind our houses and hunt each other with BB
Wow.
guns. And, you had to wear a full face motorcycle helmet so you don't get shot in the eye.
Oh,
But that was the
wow.
only rule, just, 3 pumps or less, and, you had to have a full face motorcycle helmet. This is in high school, we just run around shooting each other with BB guns.
Oh, see, for my brothers, and I, it was airsoft guns.
Mm.
'Cause, the BB guns we only had the Red Ryders, and those would really hurt. But
See, this is why I'm amazed I got through my childhood alive when I think back on it. I'm just amazed. It says something about the resilience of the human body that I'm still here to tell these stories.
I find that's the case with a lot of boys, though. I'm surprised a lot of boys survive childhood.
Well, see, we always liked the kids like Danny who would like come and hang out with us. The girls would come and hang out with us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was that kid. It's a miracle I'm alive. I just didn't have as many accidents. Like it's a miracle I didn't have as many accidents and it's a miracle I'm still alive. And I attribute that to my sex and my gender because if I don't think I like there were many times that I can recall where older boys would step over like come to me and like grab me before I can do something and be like you're not doing this. Like I
Mhm.
know you think it looks
Mhm.
fun, you're not fucking doing it. Go home. So like I attribute that partially to my gender. I did watch a lot of stupid boys get hurt in a lot of stupid ways, like knees
Mhm.
crack open, heads crack open. I've seen a couple deaths like just in the saddest, most unfortunate ways. And like, so I, here's my bit is boys need to be rough. They need to play. They like, they're designed to have that excitement and energy and just
Mhm.
desire to do these. They're designed that way. Okay. They came into
Mhm.
this world that way. They need to do it. But parents need to be good at crafting environments where they can do it in a way in which they may get hurt, but they won't die. I
Mm.
think that's
Have you guys
vitally important.
Are you guys like old enough to remember lawn darts?
Oh, yes.
No. Okay. Okay. Danny might be
I don't
Lex is
think
looking blank.
so.
Now, you see, how this was way back before people had any degree of safety consciousness when they developed products. What
Uh-huh.
lawn darts they were essentially like javelin type. Well, they're
They're
huge.
javelin.
They're sort of like
They're
the
like
end of
what
a
they sound.
they're like the end of a mortar round or like an RPG
Nice. Oh, good
where
lord.
it's a spike about that big around that tapers to a point and it's attached to this gigantic like plastic fin setup and it
They
has
were
a
like too big
handle
for me.
and there's like a hula hoop sized target that each of you has on your end of the field and you literally hurl these darts and try to get it into the ring to score your points and
Oh, so
so you're like throwing them way up in the air and watching how high you can throw these things are just basically missiles with like really sharp points.
oh, good lord.
Oh
They're
yeah,
like
see, there's like lawn
spears.
darts were yeah, they were like spears with giant winged ends on them.
Mhm.
Oh, good
But they're
lord.
heavy too. Like, Jeff,
Yeah,
you're missing out on the most important thing. They're heavy. So,
well, yeah,
like,
they're
and I
weighted
could
because they're
never play with
steel
them.
ends.
And like, there's no way that you're surviving it if it hits you. Like, it's
Yes,
hitting you.
fire
You
red.
can't
See
just
the
like
metal
bat it
lawn
away.
darts. Yeah,
Good lord. That's rough. I never saw those. I don't think I ever
I love the spinny toys. You know, the ones where you pull on them, you
oh
like
yeah.
zip them and they like fly up into the air. I
Mhm.
loved those until I started like hitting people
See,
inadvertently in
but
their
like
eyeballs.
oh, yeah. My dad, he built us stuff, like, we had a hovercraft. It was like a little, like, piece of plywood, and then, like,
With
he
the
With the
blower,
vacuum
the air
engine.
blower thingies?
with the leaf blower.
Yeah.
Leaf blower. That's what it's called. They're so
Yep.
cool.
And my dad, and then our neighbor, they would stand at like either end of the street, and then we would all take turns sitting on it, and they would just like sling us across the street. And thinking back, I'm like, we had
That's fun.
it was
That's
fun. Those made for fun times. Probably not the safest, but it was definitely the most fun.
Well, see, Eric Folmes know what's up. Playing tackle football in the street. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
you
Lord.
I mean, that went on well into
know,
college
type of
age.
shit.
That went
Like,
on well into college age. Like, anybody that's been to University of Washington, Red Square is like this gigantic place in University of Washington where it's just red brick. It's like a giant plaza made of red brick. And I went from Utah to my friend's house in Seattle so that we could play tackle football on Red Square at the University of Washington. Just play tackle football on the bricks. But
oh, that's
Oh.
sweet. See, this is what I love. Like, I love that men have these like fraternal type bonding experiences that are so fucking stupid, but mean so much to them.
it
Like, I
was
love
stupid.
it. And I don't mean that it sounds
Yeah.
sarcastic. I mean
No,
that
it was
sincerely.
stupid.
Like, I think it's sweet. But yeah. What other unexplained things do we want to discuss?
Men,
Oh.
apparently. We're cool.
I did have one real story that I was like, oh, especially if Danny's back. So I have another dream story,
Ah.
which is awesome. Well, I don't know if it's a dream. I'm just gonna say it's a weird coincidence. So Mrs. Flux, her work shirts are bright orange, like neon orange.
She's obviously
And
in prison.
yes.
I was gonna say a road worker.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
she does work
Yeah.
maintenance though.
Okay.
I met her and she was a track mechanic. That's what she did. She worked on
Sexy.
tanks. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
That's really
Uh,
badass.
Right? But so one of her she has like she's tiny. Like y'all have seen her. She's like this big. Well, for whatever reason, she has one extra large shirt. Like just one of her work shirts is just an extra large and she loves it. She wears it like over, her hoodies or whatever. It was gone for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We could not find, and we live in like a condo. This place is only so big. It was gone. And when I tell you I looked for that for 2 weeks and she looked for this damn shirt for 2 weeks. And then literally last Saturday night, I had a dream about it where I couldn't see where it was, but I could see it was sitting on something. I'm like, okay, the shirt's not gone. I just can't see where it's at. And so that Sunday morning, I was talking to Mrs. Flux, and I'm like, I had a dream about, because she was slightly irritated because I'm the one that does laundry. Like that's one of my things is I do the laundry for both of us.
Right.
And so she was like, where is my shirt? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. So last Sunday, I was like, I had a dream about the shirt. She was like, where is it? I'm like, I don't know. Literally 2 hours later, it appeared on our chase, like on the long part of the couch. It was just there. On a bright orange shirt that had not been there for 2 weeks just
Weird.
appeared at the end of the couch on the chase
Weird.
after the night I had the dream about it.
Sounds like you have an asshole ghost living with you. I don't know.
I
what
was
to say.
thinking like the sock gnomes. But the fact that I dreamt about it and then that was when it reappeared, that was the weird part to me.
Oh, there's no such thing as sock gnomes. It's been scientifically proven that socks are just a larval stage of coat hangers.
Okay.
That's why you always have too few socks and way too many hangers.
I was
I
wondering
never
how
have
that
enough
worked
fingers.
because I always thought it was sock gnomes.
No, it's just it's their larval stage. Then they emerge from their chrysalis into coat hangers.
I would smudge your house. It sounds like you have an asshole ghost.
Yeah, and that's not the first, like, because at first things go missing around our
Stop
house.
laughing at me, Jeff.
No, I was just laughing because my brain said really inappropriate things to myself.
What did your brain say?
Nothing.
Just say it, Jeff.
Just move on.
Say it, Jeff.
Say it,
No.
Jeff.
No, it would be this is something I do not want clipped. That's how bad
I
it
do
was.
not wish to
Please don't
clarify
clip it
this
even
thought.
in the chat.
Thank you.
Say it, Jeff.
No, that's how bad that was. That does not need to go out in public.
But like I'll have t-shirts and stuff that I feel like go missing, and for the longest time I thought it was just my cat stealing them, but it's like they never turn back up. And so after this one where it's like, this is a bright orange shirt, it cannot go missing in my house,
Mm, those are
and
weird.
somehow it did.
Oh, Ghost Wipe in the chat says something that actually does scare me sometimes. The idea
What?
of someone living inside your walls.
Oh yeah.
Do you know the
Yeah.
story of the guy who was living in that other dude's attic for like 3 years?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, how does that happen?
Well,
That's
I
weird,
mean,
yeah.
you just keep your mouth shut, you keep your headphones on, you go to the toilet when no one else is home, you take a shower, you keep a bucket in case you can't make it to the toilet, I'd
See,
imagine.
now
Yeah.
I'm thinking I might have somebody living in the walls because it's just and I don't know, but after that shirt reappeared, I was like,
Weird.
weird.
Chaz Berglund says, "Did you ever try wheelchair jousting?" No, but we used to do bicycle jousting a lot.
Did you ever do ATV jousting? Because me and my little
Nope.
brother did that, and we took out the light on like a tail light on a trailer, and my dad like lost his shit, and we weren't
God.
allowed to ride on the four-wheeler anymore. Ever.
Danny, you really thought this one out. Talk about how to live in someone's attic for 3 years on detective.
You know,
Listen,
we didn't joust, but my sister and I played Mrs. Pillowhead. And that's where we would put the pillow over our head and then
Okay.
just literally throw punches at each other in the face.
that's someone's weird fetish on Pornhub. I wouldn't say that again. Like, I guarantee you, someone out there
normally-
is like, oh yeah.
Brad,
So
you
we just
can't
like
and Frank practice. You can't say that.
I'm not even Jewish. The fuck? I'm following your lead. I'm not here.
Oh, wow.
no, that was a no.
Look,
I
Danny
love
Frank.
chat.
my dream is to be a professional mooch one day. Like, never have to work, just stay at someone's house, my husband preferably, and just be taken care of. Just ideal. Listen, I have had to hide from psychotic parents, okay? You just have to improvise. Because I was never like brave enough to run away because I was afraid I was going to get kidnapped and raped and made into like a drug mule. Like, that's what my parents used to tell me. If you run away, then some like immigrant on the border is going to kidnap you, and then they're going to kill you, and they're going to stuff you full of drugs and leave your body on the other side.
Wow, that's pretty dramatic.
Well,
In-
it happened. It
Well, up there
happened
in
like
northern Utah
twice
and
in my
southern Idaho,
childhood.
it was
Huh?
always just the very up in northern Utah, southern Idaho. It was just the very unpolitically correct. The Indians will get you.
Well,
That was
that's
like
what
always my
skinwalkers
biggest
get
fear
ya.
when I remember like when I was a kid because like we'd go through like you have all the we had this big Indian school in Brigham City where one of our viewers lives. They had a big school for the Indians where, and it's a whole big thing. You want to get into the history of our Lamanite brethren, but but they had a big school for Indians where they would take them off the reservations and teach them the white man's ways. It was a big thing. Yep, Swan Lake. It's just up the street from where Swan Lake Lady lives. But you had that there, and then you had the Blackfoot Reservation in Idaho. Now these like every time we traveled as a kid, I'd be like, "Oh my God, the Indians are going to get us!" Because my parents would always say, "Be careful, or the Indians are going to get you." Thanks, parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't
People
think I
Under the
got
Stairs was a great movie.
which one?
People Under the Stairs.
I haven't seen
It's,
that.
it's about people living in walls.
Well, and Parasite is essentially that idea that there's someone living in the walls in the house
Mm.
forever. I couldn't do it because I have that adventurous spirit. I'd rather go to jail or just be killed.
Oh,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
Swan Lake
If
Lady
I
actually
knew
lives
nothing
on the old
could
Indian
happen.
school property because it's now like a golf course too. They turned into like a golf course and some residential places. And Arian the vegetarian, isn't the giant white eye still on the mountainside? Yeah, you can still
I
see
would
where the eye
never
was.
live in a house near an old Indian school because they used to bury students who died in these Indian schools without like graves or marked graves.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. Like our uh the history of the BIA and Indian schools and
Mhm.
all of that is really fucked up. So
History and people tend to be fucked up.
I love when you get like 3 ADHD people in the same chat and you just where the hell how did we get here? I just love like thinking back on the conversation, wondering how we
Right?
got to these places. We started out by talking about some Norwegian spy chick, and now here we are
Oh
talking about
yeah.
people buried in unmarked graves. I love these
Unexplained.
things.
no, seriously, like everyone I know who lives in like areas with unmarked graves have the weirdest shit happen to them and the world's worst luck. And I'm not saying that there's heebie jeebies. All I'm saying is I would not live there. That's all.
Mm.
I wouldn't risk it. I totally believe in all of it. So I'm out. Fuck that shit. I'm out. Like
Mhm.
seriously, I don't even go down to like I went to New Orleans once and I felt so uncomfortable. Like there is serious black magic going on in that city.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
New
ooh, it's
Orleans and
dark.
Florida. Yeah, just anywhere that
Okay,
you get the Creole and the
Disney
Caribbean Islanders.
Disney should have paid me to write even a happy version of their new Little Mermaid. They fucked this up so bad. They should have done the Little Mermaid. What should have happened is they should have done it in like the Dutch islands, like where the Virgin Islands are. And the prince should have come and been visiting and got stuck in the Bermuda Triangle and had an accident in the Bermuda Triangle where all the magical creatures come out of, including mermaids, where King Triton lives. Then she rescues him, and the sea witch is like this really spooky Creole, like black magic woman who lives like at the bottom of the
Like from
sea.
Pirates of the Caribbean, like that
Yes,
witch woman. Yeah.
and they could have
Yeah.
had, think about it, the merchandising potential. You could have had Little Mermaid Land right next to
They
Pirates of
could
the
have been
Caribbean
wrapped
ride.
into Pirates of the Caribbean. You're
Yeah, it
right.
could have been
That
in the
is a
same
market.
universe. And it makes
Wow.
sense too because later in the Pirates of the Caribbean series on Stranger Tides, you have a mermaid who rescues a guy and then they take the mermaid captive to the Fountain of Youth, which is allegedly in Florida or Bimini Island, depending on which you believe. And they like take a tear from her, a single teardrop, in order to like activate the potion or whatever, the
Okay.
Fountain of Youth water.
Two things here, Danny. First of all, Fedorovsky, have you seen Crawl Space? Jeff has some similarities to people under this. Klaus Kinski. That was a fucked up movie. Crawl Space with Klaus
No.
Kinski is just a fucked up human being. Anyway, he's just a weird looking mofo. So he fit in that. But the other thing is, Danny, I'm concerned about you in the Little Mermaid. This is like the second really weird version that you have way overthought of what could be
Okay,
done with the
but
Little
think about
Mermaid.
it. No, think about it. Disney is on this like whole like woke agenda thing too. They could have had it
Mhm.
in Haiti and they could have had this beautiful black mermaid with like seashells in her hair. And it makes sense because they have Jamaican music playing in the Little Mermaid original
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So you
Mhm.
have this like Jamaican vibe going on, and she's falling in love with this white prince. And meanwhile, Haiti is rising up and like kicking out all of their colonizers. Like it could have been a really great, like, it would have been, literal clash of worlds and a fish out of water story. And it
Oh,
would have been
shut
so
up.
perfectly blended into the Disney universe. It
No,
was such a missed
go back
opportunity.
and delete that fish out of water storyline. That's no, that will not pass. You cannot talk about the mermaid as being a fish out of water story.
But
Come
that's
on.
literally what it is.
No, but you can't say it. It's
Why
dumb.
not? That's what it is.
You can't.
It's a fish out of water. And then he runs away and marries the sea witch. And then she falls into like a pile of sea foam.
I mean, you just can't say that The Little Mermaid is a fish out of water story. It's just
What
wrong.
else are you gonna call it? Like tuna? Like I can't. Like she could have been tuna. You don't know.
She's gone to tuna net. That's how she dies.
See,
Her
and this
and-
goes to like
Oh god, I bet
environmentalism.
you she only ever smells like fish.
Yeah,
Or she
she's fishy
asphyxiates.
on the bottom,
Dan,
okay?
oh, come
like,
on.
Think about this, Jeff.
Go away, Flux. Go to your room. Wait, you're in your room. Never
They
mind.
they could have had like a whole like environmentalism message where she gets caught in some traps or like caught in a net.
She drowns. She's got like a 6-pack ring around her neck. Yeah.
And
Oh,
she's
God.
like trying to rescue a dolphin or like a whale from one of these nets. Like they could have really done stuff with this, and it was just such a missed opportunity. They could have had whaling ships out there with like protagonists trying to harpoon the mermaids, so it makes sense why they're so concerned, because they think they're going to be next, and they see overfishing going on around them, and they can see that like the local native populations aren't getting the fish and food supply and source that they needed. Like this could have been a meaningful.
But see, I don't want meaningful movies. I don't want
But it could
meaningful
have been
Disney
a
things.
good, meaningful movie. Is my point.
I don't want to. I want
good.
fun.
Like I just wanted it to be like a fun story.
Yeah. Like just stick to
Okay,
the story.
fine,
Unless
but
your
then
horror story version would be pretty cool.
I think that would be a phenomenal version of The
horror
Little
floor-
Mermaid.
the horror film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
that would be cool.
Danny,
I
that is
agree.
also an Aquaman adjacent story. Little Mermaid is
Yes.
Aquaman adjacent.
I mean, Aquaman too. I'm sure he tastes like tuna too. I'm just saying, like, they eat mermaids. The colonizers who came to Florida used to eat mermaids. They ate manatees
Mhm.
because manatees are cute and curious, and they come up and they're like, steak. This is
They
fact.
all. Mm-hmm.
Why are you covering your face? It's real.
Because I'm just hearing all these bad, inappropriate jokes running through my mind about
oh fuck!
all
I
these
did it
men
again. I
eating
didn't even
the
make it a couple
mermaids.
hours, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've actually got to go in about 25 minutes here. 'Cause
Oh, I was
I got
gonna
to
say
do some things.
it's 11 and my mind is totally in the gutter now. It's
Do
just
cryptids scare you guys? Because cryptids
Oh,
kind of
no.
scare me.
Oh
what's
no, see, I'm like
no.
totally into like Bigfoot and things like that.
Oh yeah, I pretty much I mean everything whether it terrifies me or not, I must know about it. So it doesn't matter how like even if like with these videos of spelunking and all that, even though they terrify me because I need to at least because I will never do it. I need to at least see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like with that video specifically cuz that one I've actually watched a few times and I think I actually watched it with Hannah on one of her Unexplained.
Mhm.
And it's just like my heart rate skyrockets, my temperature skyrockets, and it's so hard to watch. But I need, like, if somebody's doing it, I gotta at least see it because I'm never going near it. But if somebody's doing it, I want to know what's there too. So, yeah, I'm just a nosy ass person and I need to know like everything. So, no matter how terrifying it is, I gotta know it.
La Chupacabra scares me.
Le
The Chupacabra scares the shit out of me.
See, that was what we were always told growing up was that the chupacabra was going to come get us.
With the scratchy nails and the red eyes and the drained blood of the goats and the pigs and the cows and the
Mm-hmm.
oh
Yep. El chupacabra.
it reminds me
El
of skinwalkers.
chupacabra. Yada yada.
La Chupacabra reminds me of like a southern skinwalker / Wendigo. That's what the Chupacabra reminds me of, and I think that's why it spooks me so bad.
Mm.
But there is a Chupacabra song, so that's cool.
So like I could.
Well, you haven't heard the Chupacabra song?
No.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Danny hasn't heard it. Oh,
I
here.
haven't heard it. Is it like
Oh.
La Cucaracha, which Flux was
No.
just
No, this is
No.
the actual one.
Oh, fuck! See?
I love this song.
You haven't heard this.
Oh no. It's funny.
Some people say they have seen the chupacabra. After some tequila, he was dancing the lambada. We don't know where he has come from, making all the Mexicanos looking like a dum-dum. They say that he's a monkey. I think the whole story's just a little funky.
There's a buggy-eyed creature that we call the chupacabra, 4 feet tall like a mutant chihuahua, in Mexico City, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua. Hey, chupacabra!
Etc. Etc.
Oh God,
You haven't heard that song, huh? Yeah.
No, now I have.
You've heard part of
I
it.
feel edified. I feel
Corn
like I
Pop,
was
you're
thinking
getting
that.
old now.
Come on, Corn Pop, take it easy. Take it easy, man. But it is like 11, almost 15, and I had to go into work early since I am gonna be off for a week. I was like, I have to make sure I get everything done before I take a week off. So I was in early. So I am ready for bed.
All right.
Thanks
I
for allowing
appreciate
me
you
to
guys
come
coming to
by.
hang out. I always have fun. We need to do this again more.
We do. Next weekend. If you're
I
going to be back.
I will be on a plane flying back from
You can
California.
always do a Saturday show.
Ooh, we could do a Saturday because
If I'm
that would
I'm
be
live
fun.
streaming every day starting April.
Really?
So,
What time are you gonna stream?
I haven't decided yet, but like obviously trials are going to be during the daytime. But I want to cover the Lori Vallow case, and they're not allowing cameras in, so I'll only be able to provide coverage at night. So I'll be doing live streams every night for that first week, and then I'll probably review the audio because they're releasing the audio the day after from the night or from the day before. So I'll then review the audio every single day following that.
Okay. See, and that's rough because I have been following that since the kids disappeared back in what was that, early 2020, late 2019?
Yeah, 2020, because I was up there and I remember seeing the freeway signs for the missing kids.
Because the whole time, like after the first 10 days, I'm like, she's not producing the kids, she's killed them. And it was still like, what, another 6 months before they found the bodies? And it's like,
And it's
it
only because
was
the community like got in touch with them and started pushing it because the police weren't doing shit.
And it was so frustrating because clearly these children were gone and oh no. I think I just lost power.
I think you had an
because
earthquake.
Was that an earthquake? Your camera was shaking.
Your camera was shaking too.
I don't think it was an earthquake.
You don't have earthquakes there.
No,
Yeah.
that was
So
me
you're-
kicking. No,
Oh,
that
okay.
was just me kicking the desk. What the fuck happened?
There you go. Always something on an Unexplained. We
No,
never go.
they're on a fault zone there, Jeff. It could have been a
Not where she lives. There's no fault zone where she lives.
Yeah, there is. I'll remind you the temple out there. Remember, Moroni fell off the top.
Where?
Look
All
up
right.
Moroni.
Are we
falls off
good?
Elvia's temple earthquake.
Is everything back?
Yeah.
Am I back?
That was weird.
Did I go away?
Did you have
Nope.
like EMP? You wouldn't be here at all.
No, because the lava lamp didn't go off.
That's weird.
Everything went off. But
Did you like kick your power cord?
But
see, that's
that
what
was in
I
Salt.
thought.
That was the Salt Lake. Not.
I thought I kicked like the power thing, but my computer would have died if I fully did. Like if I disconnected the power, my computer would have died.
Still wondering what Danny's talking about.
There are earthquakes. She's on a fault zone. She's on the old. There's a shelf that goes around Tennessee. Hold on. U.S. plates.
Danny's
Tectonic.
in Tennessee.
Hold on. There's a northern plate. It's not the Wanda Fuca fracture. Anybody who's typing that, because I'm sure someone's going to type that. The Wanda Fuca is over to the west.
I just
Right.
know that growing up in California, I had a lot
Yeah.
of them.
It's near the
Mm.
Appalachian Mountains. There's basically a giant plate that comes down the Rockies, comes
Mhm.
Yeah.
down to Texas, swoops up through Arkansas and Tennessee, which is where most of the earthquakes used to happen until they started doing drilling out in Oklahoma, just directly west of where the plate was already weak. And then
Mm.
it comes back up the Appalachian Range. So that's kind of like the curvature of our plate, which the name escapes me right now. But that is along the Appalachian, in the DC area, Virginia area.
Yeah, if it was
it's on the edge
strong
of the
enough,
plate.
if there was a strong enough one around DC, absolutely
Yeah.
would hit here. 100%. Because I'm like,
Oh, it's driving me
close.
nuts. What is it called? Someone in chat, someone knows the name of the
Mm.
plate. The Madrid. That's it.
The
new
Madrid fault. New
fault.
Madrid.
Yeah, the new Madrid fault zone.
Madrid.
But the giant plate, I don't remember what that's called.
It's a serving
Virginia.
dish.
Oh, in 2011, Virginia
Sorry.
had an earthquake that
Yes.
was felt in New York City.
New
Yeah.
York City. Sorry.
It
Oh,
Also
damaged
have-
the temple out there. There's an
wow.
LDS temple that had to be shut
Oh, yeah,
down
they
for
all started
renovation.
saying it. And then I just.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. But no, I don't think it was an earthquake. I think
Just tripped a
Maybe
breaker or something, huh?
yeah, it had to have been because the
The
lava
lava
lamp
lamp. Yeah, that didn't go out.
and my laptop didn't go out, which
Oh,
is
I
odd.
wonder if they're on a different circuit. Weird. Oh well.
No.
Just
Well,
ghosts.
More just if it's an unexplained night, something unexplained has to happen.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Every time.
It's
I'm
every
telling you, you
time.
need to smudge or like do
It was
an
the poltergeist
exorcism.
that brought the
You
shirt back.
yeah, you got an asshole ghost there, man.
I'm serious. And remember there was the last time when something kept moving behind me and I was getting really paranoid. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so Jeff, why don't you tell everybody what's coming up for you?
More trial. And it sounds like I have to watch the afternoon
Oh
session
my
of the
God.
trial yesterday. It sounded really cool. It got
Jeff.
wild after I went to sleep.
Oh
It was
my
so
God.
wild I was blocking people in my sleep, apparently.
Yes. And
Yeah,
Danny
you
was
were.
there.
I was there. It's epic. You should watch
It's
it.
Yeah, I
so
will.
good and so bad.
But I
It
heard the
is
trial
bad.
Hayden was like sending me messages after he demodded me because I was going full on Danny in my sleep and blocking people.
He was like,
but
"Don't worry, guys. I've unmodded Jeff. He's timing out people."
but he was talking about like the crazy. We got the anti-snitch guy on the stand, and
Oh.
apparently lit
Yes.
the DA up. So I'm gonna watch that. That'll be kind of
Oh
fun.
my
to watch.
God, it is so it's one of those where you watch it and it's like the best part of every sports game. It's like today is what I imagine people live for as trial lawyers.
Oh, I lived.
Cool.
Am
for
I
this.
wrong?
Yeah, no, I lived for this. It was amazing. And also it's the North American Craton. That's what I was
Oh.
thinking.
But I mean, Jeff,
Yeah.
they bring in the video.
Well, Hayden said to watch because the DA almost did and probably should have been sanctioned for something. He won't
They-
tell me what it is.
Can I
Oh,
tell you
he
what it
should have
is?
been
No, I want to watch it.
Oh, you have to watch it because
I will. I'll watch it.
I was sitting there like, yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was great. It's
I was
absolutely
just proud of myself because I remembered the rules. I was like, yeah, I know how to get that in. And it felt awesome. But no, Jeff, it's crazy. He
You-
should have
you-
been sanctioned, but this judge never sanctions people.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back and rewatch it just because I had a performance evaluation, which I am awesome.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
a raise today, so that's always
Woohoo!
nice.
Woo!
But I forgot where I was going. I don't. What were we talking about? I lost it.
Stuff.
Today, the sanctioning
Oh
and the
yeah.
bad DA and the
Sorry,
showing
my
of
short-term
clothes,
memory is totally gone.
and then
Um,
you had your performance evaluation
yes.
today.
Well, so I missed just like a few parts of it here and there because of I had like a few meetings today. And so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back and rewatch it. Just because it was so good. Like just there were so many moments where I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jeff, let
Well,
me
I'll
just
watch
say
it.
this. When you watch it, I think you're going to come to the same conclusion I did, which is there's no way in hell this is this guy's first time.
Mhm,
There's no way in hell this is this guy's first time doing this.
mhm.
First, which guy? Which guy
The
doing?
DA.
You'll
And you'll
Okay,
see it.
I thought you were like suddenly there's like some deal where
Yeah.
this isn't his first time killing and hiding a body.
No, you'll see
Okay.
exactly what I'm talking about.
The DA.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Well, he taught
It
Binger everything Binger knows, so
it's worse than that. It's just bad.
well, I'll
But
watch it for the next little while and then
I'll
keep going.
I'll let you go and so you just have more of the trial
Or
and
we got Maritime Monday coming up on Monday.
nice.
Yeah.
I always enjoy that. And you, Danny, what have you got going on?
Well, I have the Lori Vallow case coming up. I'm going to be covering
Yes.
that. And then I will create a schedule so that every time I stream, it's something interesting and new and fun for everyone. Some days I'll stream for like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Basically, I'm quitting my job just to do YouTube. So I will take all of y'all money. And anybody
Hey.
who hasn't liked and subscribed to all of our channels, please do so. Please leave a like on Flux's, and please pull up some of her videos and just like run it on repeat in the background. And that way she can get her watch hours. I mean, legitimately watch them in the background.
You know, I appreciate because it's hard to get and especially with the late with whoever's in charge only giving me 2 watch hours in 2 weeks.
It's a
That's
total joke.
just ridiculous. But I'm hoping I maybe after tonight, if she releases my true numbers, I should have them.
Woohoo.
I should have
Well,
had them a long time ago.
I did see a notice saying there was some videos weren't showing up properly and they're working on it. I did see a notice about that. So that might be
Oh,
your hours are hiding.
that's rude. But I have my morning Minecraft tomorrow, and then I
Aw.
think I'm going on with Shizzy Wiznut tomorrow and Valhalla to hang out. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but that'll be fun. And I probably won't be in your chat much next week. Like I said, I am going to California. However, see, and this is the thing. If Chandler can do it, I feel like I can do it. Cause she wakes up that early and I'm like, oh, maybe
Well,
I'll have to
Danny's
just
got a daily invite, and you'll get a daily invite. So if you ever have
yes.
time, you can pop in and be our normal person guest.
Yes. And I told Chandler, I was talking to Chandler, I'm like, we'll have to like try and hang out or something and because she's out in LA and
Yeah.
that's where I'm headed. I'm so excited. I haven't been on a vacation in a minute. So
Enjoy it.
oh yeah. LA's gonna be fun.
I
All the
hope it clears up
homelessness
and
and
it's not pouring rain when you're there.
oh, I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the rain at all. I like rain. Especially growing up in California, it rarely rained. So seeing rain in California is actually pretty nice. So I wouldn't mind. You know.
All right, sounds cool.
All right. Well, it is late. I'm tired. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I always have fun with you guys. I'm always
You
like
too.
they're the two smart people, and then I just get to sit and absorb their
Weird.
smartness.
That's exactly what I think. I mean, here's a too smart. I just get to absorb something.
Alrighty. Well, chat, everybody, thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget, be excellent to each other and have a great rest of your night.
Bye.